It's time for Twig This Week at Google. Matthew Ingram sits in for Stacey Higginbotham. Jeff Jarvis and Aunt Pruitt are here. A special treat, a visit from Trey Ratcliffe, our favorite photographer. He's going to talk about NFTs and what they mean to the creator. Then we'll talk about Google's Empathy Lab, FLoC, and why that's a terrible idea. The reinvention of Twitter, which is underway right now, and the 4th anniversary of the most famous Skype call of all time. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 602, recorded Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. Random Penguin House. This Week in Google is brought to you by the Enterprise Tech 30. The Enterprise Tech 30 is a definitive list of the 30 most promising B2B startups as determined by over 100 venture capitalists and 20 corporate development teams. Visit enterprisetech30.com to see 2021's winners. And by IT Pro TV. Expand your skills or launch yourself into a career with IT. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. Use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by Linode. Simplify your cloud infrastructure and cut your cloud bills in half. Get started on Linode today with $100 in free credit. Text TWIT to 474747 or visit linode.com/twig and click on the Create Free Account button to get started. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, a show where we cover the Google verse, the Facebook verse, the Twitter verse, and whatever verses might be. Stacey's got the day off again, but Matthew Ingram is here, so glad to have him. Chief digital writer at the Columbia Journalism Review. Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
Matthew's coming in via LTE from Canada. So that's 2 strikes.
Sorry about the quality.
No, it's okay. We're going to, your sound is fine, and that's really all that matters. We're working on different things. In fact, with Jeff Jarvis today, we're trying Zoom. Something he's, actually, you know what? The color's better. Everything looks better in Zoom.
I'm not so pink.
Yeah, you look good. Jeff.
Well, that'd be going a little too far, but at least I'm not too pink.
At first, I said, "Oh, let's not experiment with Jeff," but they pointed out you live in Zoom because of
I do indeed.
All year you teach in Zoom.
Yeah.
So
I'm used to it.
We've been trying different alternatives to Skype. I fear that Skype is fading away, and
Zoom is. I'm going to jinx this right now, but Zoom has been really quite amazing and reliable for me.
Yeah, it looks great.
And he's, except for John, easy to use. Sorry, John.
Poor John. He'll learn.
I couldn't get in.
He'll learn. Also with us, Aunt Pruitt on line 4. We've not used line 4 in a while. How you doing, Aunt?
Unbelievable as always, sir. Yourself?
I'm great. It's good to see you. And the reason Ant's on line 4 is because on line 1 today, a special guest. Just for a few minutes, we're going to say hello to Trey Ratcliffe.
Woo-hoo.
He's down in New Zealand, where there are, count them, zero COVID cases. Hi, Trey.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, there's 0 COVID cases, but 8 million sheep.
No, there is no connection. No connection. Trey has been living down under for, you call it down under, even though it's New Zealand, not Australia, right? Or no? It's Anzac.
Yeah, people refer to it like that.
Yeah.
But mostly down under means Aussie land. We don't like to mix with those.
Trey is an official Kiwi, has been for a decade now, which is great. Moved from Austin. I remember your Austin days, and I remember when you moved, and you're very happy in Queenstown, right?
Yeah. I moved here 10 years ago for a variety of reasons, but actually on the list somewhere down there was just in case of global thermonuclear war or a pandemic.
And pandemic won, thank goodness. So
who played that?
So I want to talk. We brought Trey on, and of course Trey's an old friend, great photographer, one of the best in the world, I'm sure, as you will vouch. Aunt Pruitt. Aunt says he's been stalking you for years. Trey used to.
Yes, I said that on there. I know.
Yeah, used to do a show on the network. He's been on many times. We've done triangulations with him if you want to learn more about Trey. But the reason to bring you on is because you sent me an email the other day, said, here's an NFT of one of my images. And I was so taken with that. I said, let's get Trey on because we have been trying, Trey, for a month to figure out what the hell these non-fungible tokens are. And if anybody should know, it's you. You're not the first artist to do this. In fact, this has been, I think, mostly a boon for artists.
No, I'm not the first. I found out about it the first time like 2 years ago. I have a friend named Yash, who was one of the founders of Pinterest, and he actually came out here to Queenstown, New Zealand, came here into the studio and was telling me all about NFTs and how big they're going to be.
2 years ago.
Yeah. And I said, like, I don't really understand. So he just explained it to me for hours, like, okay, I get it. So I almost did it way back then, but I thought, well, sometimes it's not good to be an early adopter. Sometimes it is. But now I think the wave of interest is so high that it's probably the right time to get in.
Grimes got a lot of attention for selling $5.8 million of her art, digital art. A lot of it animated. I think all of it animated for in 20 minutes, almost $6 million in 20 minutes. The National Basketball Association, the NBA's made $200 million selling basketball highlights
wow.
on NBATopShot.com. The first time I became aware of what now we call NFTs was CryptoKitties, which was a site you would use cryptocurrencies, I guess Bitcoin at the time, to buy these digital cats that would mate. But Trey, it's kind of speculation, really. I mean, because there's no tangible good. Like if I have one of your pictures on my wall at home, that's a tangible good. Not necessarily one of a kind, but it's a thing, a physical thing. You're not selling, when you sell an NFT of your art, you're not selling the print, are you? Or are you?
No, but you can attach real life goods to your NFT.
Okay. But you don't need to.
I sent someone a link in the Skype chat. Like this guy made some shoes, and you can. It's like a digital shoe that spins around. But then, like, if you buy it, you also get the real shoe. And I think in 24 hours, he made about $3 million.
Oh my God!
So,
Jesus.
Yeah.
I think.
And
can you, Trey? Can you restrict? Can you put conditions in the contract about what the owner does and does not get?
Yes, you could put that in the contract because it's a smart contract tied to the Ethereum blockchain. So you can put the parameters in there. You can really do almost anything that you like. You can do. You can put it up for an auction, so there's one of one. You can put up a photo or a piece of art that's an open edition, and you put a price on it. And if it sells 560 units, then those 560 things are minted, and that's all that will ever be minted with that particular piece of art. Nice. There's lots of different schemes and scenarios for selling stuff. And I think so you said it's speculation. It's totally speculation. And
although
here's my theory.
To be fair, is buying art, Starry right? Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. If you buy as an investment instead of just something pretty to put on the wall, and I think that's where most fine art is sold as an investment, you're speculating it'll be more valuable in the years to come.
Right. And I think they're right to speculate on it because right now there's so many Bitcoin millionaires out there. They're just they're crawling with them. And people don't know. Right now people buy Bitcoin and they just play the market. They wait for it to go up 4% or down 3%. It's like trading the euro for the yen. And that's a little boring. It's much more interesting to buy, instead of having an invisible Bitcoin, to have like a digital piece of art. And the art, there's secondary and tertiary markets, so it gets sold and resold. So why wait for Bitcoin to go up 3% when you could buy a piece of art that'll jump up 50% in a few weeks?
So you think it's the case that people who are spending money on NFTs are not taking dollars, say, and turning it into Bitcoin or Ethereum and then spending it? This is stuff they have in their wallet. And so it's just like buying more crypto. That's
what it sounds like.
It's kind of like that.
Right.
Okay.
They're probably sitting on hundreds of thousands or millions in Bitcoin, and they have it in their Coinbase account. And then these NFT sites, they often use this little wallet called MetaMask. So they can just convert it to Ethereum, send it to their MetaMask wallet, and they can just go stir crazy and buy all kinds of stuff.
Is it usually Ethereum when you're doing an NFT?
Yeah.
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 That's actually good news because Ethereum is not nearly so energy dependent as Bitcoin is, right? I've been told. Somebody said, Leo, you're an idiot. Don't worry about it. Because I was complaining. Actually, I was quoting Seth Godin, who did a blog post saying, the only thing bad with NFTs is it's going to hasten climate change because there's so much energy involved in these transactions. But that's not the case with Ethereum.
I don't totally understand the mechanics of Ethereum, but I do know that it can do a lot more transactions.
Yeah.
And there's new with the new Ethereum 2. They've got a lot of different wild computer sciencey techniques that are happening that can, makes it like 10,000 times as efficient as Ethereum 1.
Yeah, it's proof of stake is less energy intensive than proof of work, which is.
And the main reason Ethereum was developed was to do smart contracts like NFTs.
Right. Okay.
So I think it's a really interesting time because, crypto has always been very esoteric for the common person.
Yes. This does not make it any less. I got to be honest. Right. This just makes it even crazier.
We're getting like the muggles in. People that buy all these NBA cards and all this kind of stuff. And so these are like regular people. And so now there's, non-computer science nerds like us that are getting into this, collecting stuff. So it's entering a certain zeitgeist. It's still early, but it's nice to see so many people playing the game. It's just a game.
It does remind me of trading cards.
Yeah, it's very much like that. In fact, that's what Seth Godin used the Hannes Wagner card, of which there are only 10, as an example. This, that piece of cardboard has no intrinsic value.
Or Superman 1.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're a Superman fan, or if there's any Hannes Wagner fans left, because he played 100 years ago, you could say, well, he's a fan, but really that's not why people buy Hannes Wagner baseball cards. They buy it because of its intense value, and they spend millions of real money on these things. Trey, do you
remember
see
the banana?
Sorry? Go ahead, Matt.
I was just, do you remember the fine art? It was a banana taped to the wall by an artist. You remember that?
Yep. Yep.
Another performance artist ate it. Do you remember that?
I remember that too.
And then, so that was his art, was to eat the banana. But part of the contract for buying the banana taped to the wall was that the banana would be regularly replaced by the curator.
So it's okay to eat it. The banana, by the way, was priced at $120,000.
Yeah.
Maurizio Catalan, he titled it Comedian. And then along comes another comedian to eat it. This is part of Art Basel in Miami Beach. So, Trey, do you see yourself as selling your goods, your images this way entirely, or is this just kind of a fun little sideline?
It's a fun experiment. I still sell big prints.
Yeah. People want them on the wall, right?
Yeah. This sounds a little name droppy. You guys know I don't take myself seriously, but I did have two famous celebrities become collectors lately: Edward Norton and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It is name dropping, but it's okay. If it were me, I'd do it the same.
Do you guys hang out or?
Oh, hey, Trey has introduced me to some major celebrities. Hans Zimmer is a friend. The last time you were in Petaluma, you came here with MySpace Tom, and we went out for Korean tacos.
Wow.
Yeah, so everybody famous I know through Trey. He knows everybody.
Wait a minute, you met Hans Zimmer?
I didn't meet him. Trey's friends with Hans Zimmer. Trey's like his buddy, right?
Yeah, MySpace friends. We traveled around Europe together.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask from the standpoint of the artist that's a starving artist and happens to be able to make a sale of an NFT. What is it from a payment standpoint? I mean, are we talking real money that actually shows up, or is it just going to sit somewhere in a crypto wallet somewhere that they have to sit on forever and ever and just buy more crypto based items?
Good question. I'd explain how it works. So you take a piece of art. It can be a photo. It can have music attached to it. It can be animated or whatever. You upload it to one of these marketplaces. Like the one I'm going to put mine on first any day now is one called Maker's Place. And then so you upload it just like you're uploading a picture to Flickr or whatever. And you write a little description and you put how you want to sell it, what kind of price, and then it goes live. And for example, the way that the money works is, let's say they buy it for $1,000. Okay. Maker's Place takes 15% and 85% goes to the original artist. So that's really quite good.
That's better than the usual gallery commission, right?
Yeah, way
right.
better.
As soon as someone buys it, that money is transferred into your Coinbase account or your MetaMask wallet, and then you can convert that to US dollars anytime.
Okay.
So you can cash it in.
Yeah, even better, because this is a smart contract, if someone buys that on Maker's Place and then they resell it, the original artist gets 10% of every subsequent sale.
Oh.
So until the end of time, you'll get a 10% royalty on that piece.
So I could see your interest in this for the artist. This is a great deal.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Maker's Place, huh?
No.
Yeah.
I can see the gears turning.
Maker's Place is digital. These are digital art. And that's one of the things I think that confuses people about NFTs. As I said, I got from you, I still have it, this a picture of the space shuttle launch. It's beautiful. And that's a physical thing. It's probably a print, so there may be other copies of it. That's very common these days. But, you may also, if you have a Van Gogh, you might have the original. A digital thing, the thing that confuses me is you can make infinite copies. Does Maker Place prevent you from making infinite copies of the art you just bought?
Yeah, they have a pretty tight authentication process.
Okay.
Right? Because when it's authenticated in the blockchain, it traces the original creator, only 20 exist or only one exists.
But it's digital. How can they keep me from making another copy? I don't understand.
Well, technically, I could take the same photo and upload it on another site.
True.
Like Foundation.
So there's a certain amount of trust, I guess.
Gateway.
Right.
But there's ways they can check the Ethereum blockchain to see if the same thing's already out there.
Okay.
So that's why it's just so trusted. And the mind flip that people have to go through is, you've all know Harari books like Sapiens, that things only have humans are the only animal on the planet that believe in fictions, and if we all believe
we believe in a lot of fictions, as it turns out.
Yeah,
like money.
You can't see a meter, you can't weigh it, but we all agree on how big a meter is.
Yeah.
So then we can use it to measure stuff.
Right.
It's the same thing with money, and now the same thing with digital art. And you can see so many people are buying it that there's enough people that believe in it just to keep it going. Same thing out with Bitcoin. People didn't know. We got to get more and more people to believe in this story. But now so many people believe in that story, the story grows.
You could put code into the image too, right? Like sort of steganography, or you could insert something into the actual image itself.
But that'd be copied, Matthew. If I copy bit for bit the thing I bought, it's going to be copied with the bit for bit. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Technically, you can go screenshot my photos anytime and make them your screensaver or whatever background.
Yeah.
But there's only one that exists in the Ethereum blockchain, and it's authenticated.
That's the real one. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real one.
Wow, it's sort of interesting. Trey, you do. What's interesting is that besides pictures, images, which are physical objects as well as digital objects, you do something that's fully digital. This Machine Elf site. These are kind of videos. You actually post them on YouTube so people can see them on YouTube. Do you plan to sell these at some point?
Yeah, we actually have a company down here with 4 people, and we're going to be cranking out probably 60 or 70 a year. And right now we have a licensing deal through company called Trip. They make VR headsets. We're
So
building an app.
it'd be better in a VR. Obviously, it'd be better in a VR headset. You'd be
yeah.
in this. Am I violating your copyright by playing this? Or are you going to sue me? Because
No.
Okay.
No. They're cool. They're cool, man.
I'm a little gun shy these days. That's another thing to point out, right? I mean, frequently our podcasts get taken down because we're playing somebody else's copyrighted material to talk about it, which I deem fair use. Doesn't matter. It still gets taken down.
Fair use.
Yeah. So, this is, it's so interesting. I figured if anybody understood this, it'd be you, Trey.
Yeah, it's all made out of math. It's all made out of fractals. That's my background.
Yeah.
But we're building an app for iPad and stuff. Not really, because it'll look nice on the iPad, but we want to have it ready for Apple's VR kit.
Yes.
Because I think they're going to make VR really cool. And of course, they'll be showing off games and all that good stuff. And meditation, these are really visual meditations, is a multi-billion-dollar market. Calm and Headspace are $2 billion companies. So we're kind of the first to have visual and audio meditations. And it'd be kind of cool maybe for one of the featured things, because people will get tired of playing games. They're just want to lay on the couch and veg out, and relax.
Do I have to take ayahuasca to do it, or can I just do it?
It helps. It helps.
It helps. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt.
What makes you think that Apple's VR is going to be the business, if you will, versus what's currently out there now from the likes of Microsoft?
I think because they're so good with style and they're going to look cool, and all these famous people are going to be using them. You're going to see football players on the side on the bench wearing the goggles, just like the ear pods at the World Cup. You see famous people and stars and sports stars using this. You're like, oh, I want to be cool like them. So they'll make it cool. So there's just this Apple effect that's undeniable.
They may not make it better, but they'll at least make it more. They may not make it better, but they'll make it a little bit more socially acceptable. Perhaps.
Yeah, it'll be light. It maybe lasts 5 hours. So your kids can take it in the car. I think they'll do it right. I have a love-hate relationship with that company, but I think they'll do that right.
Right.
Interesting. Is there sound with these machine elves? There is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of my business partners, composer, so he composes custom music for it.
Oh, nice.
And then what's kind of cool is because these fractals are based on math, I can take his music and make it one of the inputs for the coefficients. So the colors will change perfectly, or the shapes will flex with the sound. So it's a very trippy experience.
Let's all just watch for a few minutes and see if we feel better. Do you have the music now, John? Oh.
We're all going to be hypnotized.
This is straight out of my 18-year-old acid trip college life right here. That's amazing. And because they're fractals, we're just showing little clips from your site, but these are much longer, and you kind of dive into them. I've actually seen quite a few of these. I love these.
Trey, where does the math come from? Do you generate it yourself, or?
They're pretty much all the fractals are pretty well known out there. They're made by like
Mandelbrot sets and so forth.
Yeah, in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So I use a program called Mandelbulber, which is incredibly esoteric and difficult to use. It took me like 6 months to figure out how to use it. And then, so you can take, any one of 100 fractals, and you can combine a fractal that was made by some Austrian mathematician in 1960 with one that was made from German mathematician in 1970, and they merge together and create something totally new. And then you can change the parameters over time, and then it extrapolates and builds beautiful things.
Yeah, fractals are one of the things you do early in your programming career. It's a good way to teach recursion.
And nobody owns a fractal, right? Nobody owns like the algorithm or the equation.
Mandelbrot owns it. No, it's a formula.
Do you want to hear my fractal joke?
Yeah.
Sure.
So Benoit Mandelbrot's middle initial is B. Do you know what it stands for?
Benoit Mandelbrot?
Yeah. Good one. That's my only fractal joke.
Here, let me play a full, not a full length one, but because these are like half an hour long, but instead of the show reel, let me just play an individual one just so you can get a sense of how it kind of, you go into it, you dive into it. And again, these are available on Trey's YouTube channel. So the music is Sam Wave. Is that his name?
Yeah, Sam Wave.
So you see, we're going to go into this thing, and one of the properties of fractals is that as you dive into a fractal, the fractal repeats, so it doesn't, the resolution doesn't disappear. You don't ever finish. You just go deeper and deeper. You are now going deep into. Ooh, these are fun. These are fun. You don't really need to take anything to really kind of trip out on these.
Good.
I like it.
Either trip out or find your center.
Yeah. Yeah. So I could see you selling these as NFTs as well, although I think you probably want them to reach a wider audience, Trey.
Yeah, I think we probably will cut them up and sell them as NFTs. Why not? People seem to like animated stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and these are 15, 20 minutes long, and a typical NFT is 15 to 30 seconds long. And so, yeah, we'll see how they do. They're already made, you know, so why not chop them up and give it a run?
I have to stop now because there are people who are driving while they're listening to the show, and they're about to drive off the side of the road. It's really nice.
I dozed off there.
They're really amazing, and I have spent far too many hours in your machine elf. You're doing a podcast now. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have a couple different podcasts. One, I walk around with a 360 camera outside with a friend, I did one with Kevin Kelly. We just talk about stuff.
I love that one. Are you going to do more of those? Because I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the new one is audio. It's called Molecules I've Ingested. And each episode is a different drug, like a hilarious story, but also very educational and interesting. So the one I just released is Molecules I've Ingested, Ayahuasca and Hitler.
Oh, man.
Does Hitler make an appearance in the ayahuasca trip?
I don't know. You just have to hear the whole story.
I don't know if I'd want that.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if I'd want that.
I thought Hitler was
maybe he was
drug
the shaman.
The kids were taking.
Hitler's the shaman? No. Podcasts.TreyRatcliffe.com is Trey's podcast hub. If you are interested in the machine elf, it's the-machine-elf.com. And I highly recommend checking it out. The Amazonian giant monkey frog poison, a.k.a. the Cambo ceremony. I think you told me about this one on Triangulation, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe so. I still have the mark up here where the poison went in. Scars.
Did you miss Did you miss Burning Man this year? Or what are you going to do? Are you going to go? Is it going to be back in September?
Yeah, I bet it will be. There's been no official announcement yet. But last year was off. That was a bummer because I had gone 10 years in a row. Yeah. Sort of a nice pilgrimage. And I get so inspired by the other artists there. It just really kind of fills my cup.
Yeah.
But I know people are anxious to get back out there, especially everyone's been so locked inside. And I think it'll go on.
Trey, it's just you, I guess, because you always make me feel much more relaxed and better. But now I'm much less antsy about NFTs. But it might just be a temporary effect of having Trey on the show. We love talking to you. I'm glad that you're doing so well.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad you're still making art. You're still taking pictures, I hope.
Oh, yeah. I take pictures all the time. And I feel so full of gratitude and lucky to be here in New Zealand, so I can just kind of jump in the car and drive around and
you live in the most
beautiful
photogenic area. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Where can we find your photos? Same place, Stuck in Customs, or?
Yeah, well, probably the best is my SmugMug site, which is stuckincustoms.smugmug.com.
And you get nice, high quality versions there. Plus, you can buy prints and so forth, not at NFT prices either.
Actually, I don't sell prints on there.
Oh, you don't allow people to make prints? Oh, okay.
No, because we keep them really limited edition. Like we might only do 3 big ones that are sold out forever.
Yeah,
and they're a little higher priced, you know. So It's and we have them printed at this place in Germany, and it's a big deal. It's a whole big procedure. Yeah.
What do you use for software these days and hardware? I'm just always curious.
I still use Aurora HDR
from Skylum. Nice.
Skylum.
That's what I use too. Yep.
Right. Full disclosure, I help make it and all that stuff, but I actually use it every day. I've been flirting a little bit with Luminar, the new Luminar.
The AI is wild, isn't it? I'm so tempted to replace every sky and every photo I've ever taken with a much better one. And Trey does have some Luminar filters, which are, because it's Trey, wild and fun. Really great stuff.
Yeah, Luminar is pretty cool. Actually, I think they're just now adding that the sky replacement also works if there's a reflection, like in the water. I don't know, man. These guys are real smart. I don't do sky replacement because there could always be a better sky,
I know if I ever did it, people would say, "Oh, I know where that sky came from," because I mean, it's pretty. It's not my sky, so yeah, I'm very nervous. But if you use Aurora HDR, that program has saved some grungy, drab pictures of mine and brought them to life, and it really is an amazing tool. And I actually bought Luminar AI because I'm very curious about what I can do with it. It's pretty cool. Everybody should follow Trey. What else?
Oh, a quick funny story about sky replacement. Real short. So I'm friends with this Russian photographer named Dima, and he's really good. He takes great photography and landscapes. But he has this library in Photoshop with like 5,000 moons. Okay, and they're big, So he always puts these big moons in all of his photos all the time. To a photographer, it's fake, but other people think like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I say, Dima, why do you always add moons to every one of your photos? And he goes, it looks better with moon.
That's right.
He's right. Trey does not have to add moons to his photos.
Oh, yeah, you got me.
They look so gorgeous. Look at this.
That's
amazing.
That story inspired me. I have a folder of moons myself.
That's hysterical.
Right there.
But if it looks good with one moon, why not put a couple in?
Maybe I have.
Do you still I guess, have you not been traveling? Because one of the things I always loved about your photos is the travel stuff.
No, I'm here, but it's been a great place to be stuck. New Zealand, it's a lot bigger than people think. And so I've been spending a lot of time up on the North Island.
How big is your town? It looks like it's got 2 streets on
it's tiny.
Google Maps.
It's tiny.
Yeah, it's a small little one-horse town.
I'll put it this way, Jeff. It's half the size of Petaluma. It's 25,000 people.
Wow.
I think
Petaluma is not a big
if I'm not
city.
wrong, I think.
And how did you pick that spot within New Zealand?
How did you pick that spot?
Well, it's beautiful. The mountains. I feel really energetic here. Yeah. It's very outdoorsy. Kiwis are really nice, but actually Queenstown is having a really tough time because of the pandemic.
Oh, no.
Because it's 70% dependent on tourism. So it's a bit like Venice.
Yeah.
Because it's a ski destination and all the outdoor stuff, and they're depending on foreigners to come here, and they're not.
I'm on my way. I'll be there.
Quite tough.
Be right there. Did you sell your house, by the way? I had no idea that you were living in the most beautiful home I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. Were you able to sell it yet, or is it still for sale?
No, I can't decide if I want to sell it or not. It's
I don't blame you.
And, I got divorced 2 years ago, so I just kind of rattle around inside of it. And I thought about, and I'm a minimalist. This is basically my little studio, and
you just stay there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought about, but there's still a lot of people moving to New Zealand, and it's really in demand. So I thought, well, maybe I should not sell it. Maybe I could do that.
It's so gorgeous. Yeah. I am blown away when I see it.
See in the magazine.
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's like something you see in a magazine. It's just so gorgeous. Trey Radcliffe.
You guys are always welcome to
I know, and I've been meaning to come out and visit, but then this COVID thing happened. We'll see maybe a year or two. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Trey Radcliffe. The-machine-elf.com, at Trey Radcliffe on Twitter, and of course, stuckincustoms.smugmug.com for his portfolio. It's amazing. Have a wonderful day. Yeah, I guess it's daytime now in New Zealand. So have a wonderful
Thanks,
day.
Trey.
It's almost lunchtime, right?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, lunchtime on Thursday. He's a
Good to
day
see you.
ahead. See you, Trey.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Trey.
Bye, guys.
Bye. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we've got the tech news, and I'm just going to ream Sean Hannity. I think you know what I'm talking about here. If you don't,
No, I actually don't.
oh my God, do you know about the Taylor Lorenz?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Sean Hannity. It was
Tucker Carlson.
Tucker
Sorry,
Carlson.
Tucker Carlson. So I reamed the wrong guy. Well, actually, probably not. But
They both deserve it. It's fine.
Sean deserves it.
I am livid about this Tucker Carlson thing, and we'll talk about that and a lot more in just a little bit. Before I do, though, I want to talk about our sponsor today. We're brought to you by the Enterprise Tech 30, a really exciting list of the top tech disruptors, the new startups, the companies that are about to change the world. It's a piece of really amazing research. Comes to us from Wing Venture Capital in partnership with NASDAQ. I think, as Roblox goes public today, I think when a company goes public, the world knows. But there's a whole sector of not public yet, private enterprise tech that is amazing, but it's basically opaque. You have no idea, how the company's doing. They're cagey. They don't say what's going on with growth or revenue. Sales cycles, especially for these new companies, can be long and unpredictable. There are lots of lists out there that feature startups or tech disruptors, but I have to say I never trust these lists because, there's lots of reasons not to trust them. They're often dominated by well-known consumer brands or a B2B maybe that's well-known. There's also issues, with lobbying and so forth, even pay to play in some of these lists. So this is not that. This is an absolutely editorially based, very good list, the Enterprise Tech 30, enterprise startups. These are B2B startups that have the most potential to tectonically shift how enterprises operate for the better. Awardees of the ET30 are on a fast track of growth. They're changing how business is done. Of course, they're expected to make an IPO at some point, multi-billion-dollar exits, but they haven't yet, and that's the point. You're getting in on the early stage. It's not possible to lobby your way into the ET30. In fact, you can only be selected by the editorial team. The Enterprise Tech 30 focuses on companies with potential at all stages of maturity, not just startups, but not just mature businesses, or not just businesses that you already heard of and know and have traction. And that's the beauty of this. Consider it a buying guide for enterprise executives seeking to bring more validated and credible digital innovation into their organizations. Enterprise tech founders should see inclusion as the highest endorsement of their current and future success. I know they do. Founders that aspire to build publicly traded companies should see inclusion as a watershed moment in their founders' journey. Tech executives and high-performance operators will use this list to help guide their decisions on what companies to join. The brand new 2021 edition of the Enterprise Tech 30 is here, brought to you by Wing Venture Capital and NASDAQ. Head over to Enterprise Tech 30, enterprisetech30.com to see who made this year's list. That's enterprisetech30.com. We thank ET30, Wing, and NASDAQ for their support. I just want to get this off my chest, but, we got two great journalists here. We got Jeff Jarvis, teaches journalism. By the way, I didn't give you the full credit, so let me do that, the operatic credit now. He's the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. So you teach young people how to be good journalists. And, of course, Matthew Ingram, longtime journalist, but also chief digital writer at the Columbia Journalism Review.
Columbia Journalism Review for
crying out loud.
Sake.
So Taylor Lorenz, who, by the way, is fantastic. She writes, she's a tech reporter for the New York Times with a beat on social media. We quote her all the time on this show, almost weekly on this show. In fact,
she's really great.
We're going to quote her again. Yeah. She's got an article about something really cuckoo we're going to get to. The other night, this bimbo on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, says, Taylor apparently tweeted at some point, hey, I've been harassed. It's been hell. It's ruined my life. And this is a problem for all women on Twitter, all women in public view. And I know it intimately. I've seen it happen with friends and family. And I know Taylor has been horribly harassed by these anonymous on the internet. Tucker Carlson becomes one of these not anonymous by saying, oh, she's privileged. How dare she complain about being, oh, her life was ruined. What an ass. Not only is he wrong to criticize her for that, but he's bringing down infinitely more on her head.
Oh,
and he knows
God,
it.
yes.
And he knows
yeah,
it.
yeah. This is
Glenn
harassment.
Greenwald
This is
joined
bullying.
in too. So Glenn Greenwald said pretty much exactly the same thing.
Why
just
are they
because-
all of a sudden picking on Taylor Lorenz? Of all
I think
people.
it's partly because they see her as someone who just writes about kids on Tumblr or whatever. They don't consider what she does to be real
it's pure
journalism.
misogyny.
Glenn doesn't anyway.
It's the worst
It's pure misogyny.
Obviously.
Why her? Well, before Tucker Carlson had a famous episode where he interviewed Lauren Duca, and she just cut him off at the knees and what's above the knees. It wasn't
Great
there
interview.
anymore. It was a great interview. Lauren
Highly
was at the time
recommend.
a columnist for Teen Vogue, and he said she should stick to writing about thigh-high boots or some such thing.
Mm-hmm.
And horrendous misogyny.
Ridiculous.
Just like Piers Morgan, who's mad because
Glenn
Meghan
also-
wouldn't date him.
This is related, by the way, to the somehow I don't understand how Tucker Carlson related this to the Oprah interview with Harry and Meghan, because I guess it's part of a larger tirade against privileged people complaining about how they're treated.
Right.
She's not a princess. She's not. Taylor Lorenz is not in the royal family.
No.
Actually, Meghan's not a princess either, but that's another story for another day. She's not. She's a reporter. She's a frontline reporter for a newspaper who is now going to be, I can only imagine, she was harassed before. That's
It's
it's unconscionable. This should be. This is where you get taken down. This is where the marketplace should revolt against not just this guy, but Fox News in general.
Well,
And I blame Glenn Greenwald even more because Tucker, nobody really believes what that guy says. He's a complete clown. But Glenn Greenwald, to say that she
horrible.
basically doesn't deserve to be complaining because she hasn't suffered real harassment is him saying, it's only harassment if I say it is or if it meets my test.
Well, but Leo, you're absolutely right, and this is
Sounds
something
like
that
the
I'm actually.
1800s to me.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be doing more about this coming up. I haven't done anything publicly yet, so but we in media tell Facebook and Twitter to clean their houses. We in media don't clean our own house, and Murdoch and his minions are a cancer on democracy. And the fact that Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, who you almost went after, what the heck, go after him too, and The Big Lie and everything that they do.
Yeah, the reason I thought of Sean Hannity, because his defense when he was sued for defamation was, well, not everybody knows everything I do is fiction.
Yeah, that works.
That was Tucker.
Unbelievable.
Was that Tucker? Okay. See,
Yeah.
I'm confusing the two
Yeah, I
because
read
they're
the case.
equally.
The whole argument was nobody sees Tucker as a journalist and nobody believes that what he says is true, so you can't.
Except that all of the horrific minions of Tucker Carlson now who will be going after Taylor Lorenz, including, by the way, threatening her life. Look, Brittany Wu, who's a regular on our show, had to move her house because of Gamergate. It just stirs up the worst people in the world.
And they know it, and they know that,
And
they
they
have the
know
power
it.
to do
It's
that.
not- this
and
is
that's
not
exactly
ignorance.
what happened in the incitement. Well, that's incitement, and there was incitement against our democracy, and from the highest of the government, and
Brianna
from
Wu,
Fox
sorry
News.
about that, not
And there's
Brittany.
incitement against these women who are when I talk about how good the internet is, the thing I always have to say is it's easy for me to say as a old white man, and I don't get attacked nearly like women do and other people do, but they know what they're bringing, and it's awful. It's just awful. And how any company can advertise next to this person, apart from the effing pillow nut job. Every advertiser on earth should be leaving Fox News. Every journalist on earth should be saying that we won't appear on their air. Every organization of journalists should cut them out. The digital context next gets money from Rupert Murdoch. Online News Association gets money from Rupert Murdoch. They should all be saying Fox News is shunned and shamed and is not among us.
And frankly, Glenn Greenwald, who left The Intercept and is now doing a newsletter at Substack, should be shamed.
He's gone.
He should know better. He should know better.
Just as much.
I don't understand his worldview now at all.
But I have to say, Glenn Greenwald's writing on a little corner of the world that has almost zero impact compared to Tucker Carlson, who, right. I mean, TV, people don't understand, but TV has this huge emotional power, and wielding it irresponsibly like that is for no good reason. It's not even like it's on TV. It's authoritative. Yeah, right? But for him to say that is completely gratuitous. It's like, let me just pick somebody and beat him up just to show how much power I have. It's awful.
It's this cancel culture BS where she's not allowed to say that she's a victim because I am the only victim. We are the only victims. The poor put upon right-wing media of Fox News. Oh, no. People are trying to cancel us, and they're getting rid of Dumbo and Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. Never mentioning that 500,000 Americans are now dead. Never putting it in that context. I said this on the show before. I'm going to say it again. I go back to Hannah Arendt. What happens in a totalitarian regime is that people give up their daily concerns for an abstract notion that they can rally behind. So they rally behind not death, not about people's incomes in a pandemic. They rally behind Mr. Potato Head and cancel culture. And those are made up things. They don't exist. They exist to try to make people mad. And that's the power that Tucker Carlson has. He demonstrates it, as did Donald Trump, by stirring people up, by inciting this. And it's amoral. Do you feel better?
No. You really should not. This is. I mean, look. The job journalists we should carry some responsibilities, and this guy has been given a very powerful weapon, and he's misusing it against another journalist, which is just offensive as hell. Actually, he's not a journalist, as Fox News said. So. Nobody takes Tucker Carlson seriously, except they should. Because the guy is a menace to society.
So I've been on MSNBC's air, begging them to do something that they're never going to do. And Matthew, we need to talk about this. How do we get this done? I'm talking to somebody actually Monday about this idea. Is we need somebody to start a feature that I call "We Watch Fox News So You Don't Have to." And what I want is a view of what is your Uncle Joe being fed and not being fed against MSNBC and CNN and the New York Times and the rest of liberal media. Okay, fine. But there's a skewed worldview that's being presented that I don't want to watch, but I want to understand what it is. And media don't, except for Matthew and Brian Stelter, that's about it. Media don't cover media. And it probably media, especially Murdoch, is part of the story now.
Yeah, it is. It probably feels a little too self-referential. I understand that. And normally, honestly, on this show, I wouldn't be talking about this, except that I take it personally. I mean, that's really offensive. She's a tech reporter. She's not a privileged person, and she's going to suffer the fires of hell probably for the rest of her life now, thanks to this asshole.
I mean, he's a talk radio blowhard, just like
he is.
Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
Rush
it's all it's the worst. You can blame Rupert Murdoch for it, but I guess you can also blame Rush Limbaugh a little bit for it because he created it and drove that train to great success.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you look at, I think it's Yochai Benkler talks about, we're seeing the sort of terrible payoff of basically 50 years of this type of stuff has just become more and more mainstream, and Rush Limbaugh effectively started most of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was loathsome. A number of people said, come on, you're going to say something about his passing, aren't you? I said, no, absolutely not. Under no circumstances, no. Because you don't want to hear what I would have to say about his passing.
Except it's about time.
Well, so the radio company I work for was his syndicator.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which always made me a little uncomfortable. They syndicate a lot of But if you're in talk radio, as my radio show is in talk radio, you're surrounded by those people. That's what talk radio has become, thanks to the success of.
So I called into Howard Stern a week ago, and I said I had a theory that if Howard had not been hounded off of broadcast radio, that maybe we wouldn't have ended up with Trump. What I meant by that was that there would have been an alternative. Wait. There would have been an alternative for all the young men of America on radio.
Somebody
other than right-wing radio.
Somebody was talking about poop instead of politics. Yeah,
exactly. And Howard said, "No, I think that's wrong," and that was the end of the call. So, Matthew, let me ask you a question if I can.
Sure.
I was part of an original meeting that led to this, and I think it's great that CJR has ombuds people independent of these publications for the New York Times, Washington Post, and CNN. Do you have any insight into why Fox wasn't added to that at CJR?
I don't really. I mean, I wasn't part of those discussions, but I assume it's along the lines of, nobody trusts them anyway. I mean, it's not as though they're going to take our advice in any way or pretend that they have realistic standards. Okay. So it's kind of not worth it.
But I do think we've got to report on what they do. As I say, Brian Stelter at CNN wrote a book, and he's got a new edition of his book coming out. But Murdoch is a malign actor. His people are malign actors in our democracy, in our society, in our culture. We can't just sit and do it. I also would recommend to folks Kevin Rudd, the former neighbor of Therese, the former Prime Minister of Australia, 2 weeks ago during the whole Facebook thing, gave testimony to the Australian Senate in an effort to get a royal commission investigating media monopoly, read Murdoch. And it's brilliant. It is an hour of gripping video in which Rudd ends saying to the politicians there, the senators up on the dais, let's be honest with each other. We're all frightened of Murdoch. He said, I was frightened of Murdoch when I was prime minister. We're all frightened of Murdoch, and that shouldn't be. And you look at the UK, Tom Watson, a former MP, tried to go after Murdoch, and now he's out of parliament.
Well, Murdoch beat two of the biggest tech companies in the world, Google and Facebook. So I guess maybe you should be afraid.
Because he controls the government.
Yeah, he controls the government. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. By the way, the book that Matthew mentioned by Yochai Benkler is called Network Propaganda.
I read his Wealth of Networks book. He's good. He's really a deep thinker, and it's nice to have him. NYU study, Cybersecurity for Democracy, studying online misinformation, came up with the unsurprising conclusion related to this story that right-wing misinformation is just more popular. People like it better.
Well, but Leo, I put this on here, and what struck me about that is I think that the presumption we make is, right-wing propaganda gets more engagement because that's what Facebook does to people. I think it's much more complicated than that, much harder to solve than that. And so we think that the intervention is get Facebook to do it less. No, people who want it will seek it out and will engage with it.
I think it goes beyond Facebook. That's just a societal thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not. The proof is, look what happened to talk radio, completely independently of Facebook. As soon as Rush Limbaugh and the other far right talkers like Michael Savage got on and ratings went through the roof, they just took over talk radio. And there is a reason ratings go through the roof. I've listened, remember Air America, the left-wing alternative?
I was a regular on it.
It wasn't compelling. It was wimpy. Weeks? It was liberals are like, they're just not interesting. There is the fire and brimstone of the right-wing preacher that just somehow grabs you when liberals are going, well, we really have to consider the feelings of people. And, and it's just not compelling. I understand. I've done talk radio and I understand. I don't want to fall in the abyss of far right radio, but I'm surrounded by it.
But when you think about it, and this applies to Facebook too, anger is one of the most powerful emotions.
Outrage.
And
outrage.
If you can, right. And if you can encourage people to feel anger towards someone that they blame for their problems or the problems of the world, then you will get an audience. It's as simple as that.
Patty Chayefsky told us that in network. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. We've known this as long as there's been mass media, and apparently it extends not just to mass media but social media just as well. In fact, I would say Facebook and Twitter really are just expert at disseminating outrage. It's the outrage of the minute, just constantly.
Well, I remember an interview with a news feed, a former Facebook news feed product manager, and he said, what Facebook cares about is engagement, and you know what's really engaging? Bull.
Yeah, it's facts. That's
I guess you could. That also explains conspiracy theories. You know, they're somehow engaging.
It's back to the beginnings of our business. Watch out, Gutenberg moment coming. Before the first newspapers, broadsheets and news pamphlets were the primary news, and ballad singers and news singers. And what was one of the primary topics besides war?
What?
Witch hunts.
Oh.
Witches.
Yeah, we love witches.
And
we
people
love
got. You want to talk about cancel culture?
No, come to think of it,
burned.
the Salem witch trials are a perfect example of this kind of mass hysteria. How interesting. Yeah. Wow. So it's human. It's a human failing.
Frailty that gets exploited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess what are you going to do if it's human? It's like saying, well, don't eat fattening foods. It's
right. Exactly.
It's what we like.
Well, it's at the end of the day, it's education. It's humanities.
Yeah, but can you teach empathy?
I think so. Yeah.
Can you?
I think you can. You can encourage it.
I for some reason I feel like empathy is the root of it. If you could teach people to walk a mile in the other guy's shoes, then they wouldn't be so hateful towards the other guy.
That's right.
I just had a conversation with.
Go ahead, Ant.
No, I think so too. It's not something that everybody's going to have inherently because we all are different beings, if you will. But again, if you put someone in that same scenario with the same deck of cards dealt to them, let them see how they feel.
Yeah,
this is this is my life.
I don't know if it's nature or nurture, but I've sometimes I've convinced it's a curse, but I've always far too much, and this is why liberal radio sucks. I've always said, but on the other hand, consider what's going on with them. It drives Lisa crazy. It's like, but on the other hand, they feel this way about this stuff, and it isn't compelling. It makes people work. Go ahead, Matthew.
You should walk a mile in someone else's shoes because then you're a mile away and you have their shoes.
I think Jimmer B's mic's on.
You can hear him laughing all the way over here. He's just laughing loud. Let's see.
I was going to say, can you teach empathy? I was going to use Canada as an example about how you can, but then Matthew said that, so.
Yeah.
Canada feigns empathy. Now, let's be honest. Canadians.
Google had an interesting project. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. I think it still exists. And that's effectively what they were trying to do. They were taking, like terrorists and gangbangers and stuff like that, and they were trying to encourage them to consider the people that they were attacking.
It was actually called Google's Empathy Lab.
Empathy Lab?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah. What was the, I remember when they did this, I wonder what they, of course, I'm sure Ruth Porat came along and said, screw you with empathy. Get the empathy out of here. I wonder what
it doesn't make a lot of money. That's the only problem.
Wonder what the upshot of that was.
You also have an effort by...
idea, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matthew. Eli Pariser, author of The Filter Bubble, which, as I've said on the show, is pretty much debunked, but Eli's a great guy. And Talia Stroud, a researcher at the University of Texas, who's just brilliant. They have a project called Civic Signals, where they're trying to come up with measurements for basically good behavior. I had this discussion today. I talked to my old friend David Weinberger, co-author of the Clue Train Manifesto.
Love Clue Train Manifesto.
Greatest.
David's brilliant.
Big fan.
Yeah.
And I had, in fact, Matthew, this is a discussion I want to have with you too, offline, as we say. So, I redefine journalism every couple of years because I have tenure and I can do that. And I had one.
So does Tucker Carlson, by the way. Go ahead.
Wait a minute.
It's our job to convene communities into, I first said civil, informative, productive conversation. I realized civil was bad because it's a top-down view of those in power, like the word objective. So then I did respectful. But now respectful is also not a good word because it's something that gets imposed upon people. And I don't have a word that simply describes the desire for a equitable, decent, fair, human conversation. Informed is easy to define, and productive is easy to define, but I don't know how to define that quality of being decent to each other.
And then there's Burger
Decent
King
is not
UK.
bad.
And then there's Burger King UK.
Yeah.
On International Women's Day, tweeted,
Such good marketing.
"Women belong in the kitchen." The problem is this was the beginning of something better, but nobody
Theoretically.
theoretically anyway, but nobody saw it because so many people were so upset about that.
Someone said in a tweet, in an alternate universe, they tweeted Burger Queen, and they got 2 million new followers.
Brianna Wu's
I thought it was
response
just
to
something
Burger King was, "Go F yourself." Simple.
I thought it was just something their Twitter account did, but they took out a newspaper ad, like a full page newspaper ad.
It was a poorly framed marketing plan.
Stuff like that happens, and that's a marketing department, which means it has to go through a couple levels of approval.
Mm-hmm.
Where are those approval people at?
Well, they weren't women, probably, in all likelihood.
They're not working there anymore.
Bunch of guys.
It's such.
They were trying to promote Burger
King.
Yeah, well, they were
Didn't
trying to.
anybody sit and say, guys, you
Well, wait a minute. Let me explain what they were thinking. Not that it justifies it. Burger King their plan was to announce their HER scholarship, HER, helping equalize restaurants for female Burger King employees who want to pursue culinary careers. So what they were saying is women belong in the kitchen, but it didn't really.
Look here.
In no way does it work.
It was kind of like, and we have scholarships so that women can get better jobs in the kitchen. I don't know. It wasn't.
I guarantee after this happened, some marketing guy was like, but we got a lot of engagement.
Yes, I guarantee that's 22,000 retweets.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fine for Tucker Carlson.
Sad.
But Ant's exactly right. You just really want a recording of that Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems like a good idea.
Some approvals.
Do you get it? Do you get what we're doing? We're flipping it on its head. We're giving women opportunity, but we're going to tweet it like it's some kind of sexist thing, but it's not. You get it? We're flipping it on its head.
Because we flip
marketing
burgers.
People.
That's what we do.
I don't need a story. Just give me the facts.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
If
What about
I
the
want a story,
burgers?
I'm going to go look at
What about?
art.
Tell me about the burgers.
Photography. And
But
stuff
see,
like that. If you
Steakums
got a new product. Tell me
set
the
that
product.
bar really high. That's the problem. Steakums wasn't at all about the product. But anyway, Google. Let's get back to Google. This week in Google, Google's FLoC is a terrible idea, writes the EFF. We're going to talk about it next Tuesday on Security Now. This is what Google is replacing the third-party cookie. We talked about it last week. They made a big, lots of hay about how starting next year they're going to Chrome won't support the third-party cookie, and Google said we're not going to invest in any tracking technology. So their new technology, which has the worst acronym ever, Federated Learning of Cohorts.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Speaking of marketing, so some guy, you're replacing a term
we already
called
know
the cookie.
Google doesn't have marketing.
You're replacing a thing called the cookie, which everybody understands because they know what cookies are. Yeah, let's call it federated learning of cohorts. That's a great one.
I just commend the EFF for not using the obvious headline, "FLoC you, Google." But anyway, so what they're
better than you, Leo.
I know they are. They always have been. So the idea is, and actually, this isn't, in theory, this is not a bad idea. It's something Apple does as well. The idea is, instead of following you directly, it aggregates information about you and your cohort, so that it's not individualized information. It boils your browsing down locally into a behavioral label, and then that is the behavioral label is what gets shared with other websites and advertisers.
Which is the kind of behavioral stuff that people had. There are companies that say, well, this is an outdoors person.
By zip code.
Well, not just that, but also other behaviors. Yeah. This is an outdoors person. So you end up in an anonymized description useful to advertisers, but doesn't violate your privacy, one hopes.
So EFF writes, "We stand at the fork in the road. Behind us is the era of the third-party cookie."
FLoC in the road.
FLoC in the road.
FLoC in the road.
Behind us is the era of the third-party cookie, perhaps the web's biggest mistake. Ahead of us are two possible futures, and I actually thought this was good. In one, users get to decide what information to share with each site they choose to interact with. This is what Tim Berners-Lee is advocating. No one needs to worry their past browsing will be held against them or leveraged to manipulate them when they next open a tab. In the other, Google's proposal, each user's behavior follows them from site to site as a label, inscrutable at a glance, but rich with meaning to those in the know. Their recent history distilled into a few bits is democratized, they put that in scare quotes, and shared with dozens of nameless actors that take part in the service of each web page. Users, in effect, begin every interaction with a confession. Here's what I've been up to this week. Please treat me accordingly. Now I'm starting to think this is a very, very bad idea. And that's essentially what the EFF says. It's going to introduce new privacy risks. And there's all sorts of issues with it.
I mean, you're just switching one thing for another, right? Before, the data streamed out onto the internet and companies sucked it up. Now Google's saying, oh, well, it'll just stay on your phone, except Google controls your phone and all the things you do on your phone.
Yeah.
Well, the issue too, I think, is this, is that, and this is what Facebook ran across multiple times, right? Is that if you want to, I'm trying to think of something that would be useful here.
Adult diapers.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should not have said that. I'm really sorry.
Fine.
Okay, fine.
The prostate guy. Yeah, fine.
Okay, fine.
But you could do the negative of an ad, right? So if you want to start a campaign on equity in work aimed at poor people, that for the best of reasons, that's good. But then an advertiser can come along and exclude the poor people and only go to the rich people.
Right.
Bad example, but stuff like that. So the question is, what are the categorizations and how could they be misused, and will they stay ahead of that? Otherwise, what the story is going to come up. I tried to buy an ad for people, white men who are over 65 with white hair on podcasts buying adult diapers, and I could do it, because Google let me, right? And so any system that can be gamed will be gamed and be messed up. Google's smarter about this in its history than Facebook has been, so maybe they'll do it.
We still have to think about the regular consumer out there that's not going to take the time to go through and select what they want to share. We're talking about the same people that tap accept on every single app they install on their phone without knowing that it's saying, hey, I'm going to be listening to your microphone and tracking your location all day long.
Yeah. This is why I donate to EFF every month. They say, make no mistake, if Google does follow through on its plan to implement FLoC in Chrome, which, by the way, it did or has, it's rolled out as a test in Chrome 89, so millions of people have FLoC on their browser right now. The system will probably be opt-in for advertisers that will benefit from it, opt-out for users who stand to be hurt. Google will surely tout this as a step forward for transparency and user control. Just exactly what you're saying, Ant, knowing full well the vast majority of its users will not understand how FLoC works, and the tyranny of the default, very few will go out of their way to turn it off. Google will pat itself on the back for ushering in a new private era of the web, free of the evil third-party cookie, the technology that Google helped extend well past its shelf life, making billions of dollars in the process. This is the paragraph I like the best. It doesn't have to be that way. The most important parts of the privacy sandbox, like dropping third-party identifiers and fighting fingerprinting, will genuinely change the web for the better. Google can choose to dismantle the old scaffolding for surveillance without replacing it with something new and uniquely harmful. Google needs to learn the correct lessons from the era of third-party tracking and design its browser to work for users, not advertisers. And if they don't, by the way, people will just stop using Chrome. They'll start using Brave or Edge or something that's de-Googled.
But it's not just Google, Leo. It's every single publisher, every single person who's advertising out there.
We're dealing with it. Every advertiser wants us to put tracking in somehow magically into podcasting.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so it's not. This is. We talked about this last week, but Google has first party data. They'll probably do it okay. I actually don't think that what happens there will be bad. What happened is the publishers demonized the cookie and be careful what you lobby for. Now they don't have first party data. They never got past having a mass relationship. They use programmatic advertising. They're effed. They F themselves. There were two ridiculous pieces this week. I tweeted this morning trying to blame Google for what the publishers didn't do, right? And so now Google is blamed for everything going behind a subscription wall because advertising doesn't work on the publisher sites. Well, okay, but they could have made it work. They could have had first-party data. They could have built relationships, and they didn't. They just put up Taboola and Outbrain and programmatic ads.
Right.
So they became addicted to the cookie that they demonized, and now when it gets pulled off from underneath them, they've got nowhere to go. So God knows what happens then.
It's going to be interesting.
Yep.
Google has found a unique solution to the tech tax being lobbied in France since 2019 and starting in Spain this year. The tax, which, quote, covers a part of the cost of conforming to laws concerning taxes on digital services in France and Spain. It's really a tax. It's a tax on Google because they're big in tech. And so in France, it's a 3% tax on Google's French operations. In Spain, it's also 3%. What Google's done, though, is add to their ad rates by 2%. So that tax that Google's paying, they're going to pay 1% of it. But guess who gets to pay the other 2%? Advertisers. And guess who advertisers are going to pass that cost on to?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a problem with taxes.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to consider where it ends up. Yep.
And then you also have to consider where the taxes go. This is my argument with Australia, is that fine, let's say you do tax the platforms more. Should it go to hedge fund owners of newspapers, or should it go to internet access, or should it go to health, or should it go to education?
Should it go to Rupert Murdoch?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, French tax brought in 400 million euros in 2019, just to their general fund. I assume they don't say it's earmarked for anything in particular, but I think it's more just hey, how can we get in on some of this Google money, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a deep pocket theory.
Yeah.
If you have money, figure out a way to get some of it.
Google just says, yeah, fine. Okay, we'll just pass the savings on to you.
Well, there was a story we didn't talk about last week that says that I think it's new head of Treasury is open to now some international treaties about this.
Oh, interesting.
Which would be really important, because now what happens is every country says, Ireland says, put your headquarters here. We're nice people.
Right.
We have nice accents. We have good beer. What's not to love, right? And countries compete with each other the way cities do in the United States and Canada for factories and stuff like that. So if you had some kind of regime across the countries that would eliminate the loopholes that countries create against each other, then there could be fair taxation.
Trump tried to get France to stop, but ineffectively. I think you're right. I think it has to be broad multinational
agreement.
You can't just say, hey, France, don't do that to our company. That's not going to work. You mentioned Ireland. I have to read this. Then we're going to take a break.
It wasn't the best. It was the best.
It has nothing to do with Google, but I'm going to read it anyway.
How did you find it? Did you? Because I didn't put it on the rundown. I read it and I tweeted it. It was wonderful.
Probably found it on twit.social, which is our Mastodon instance. I've been getting a lot of great links there from people. This is from the Irish Times. Patrick Frayne. He's writing about the Oprah interview with Harry and Meghan. The headline, Harry and Meghan, the union of two great houses, the Windsors and the celebrities, is complete. After Harry and Meghan, the monarchy looks archaic and racist. Well, duh, but it's the lead that I love so much. Having a monarchy next door, I should do this in an Irish accent. Having a monarchy next door is a little like having a neighbor who's really into clowns and has daubed their house with clown murals, displays clown dolls in each window, and has an insatiable desire to hear about and discuss clown-related news stories. More specifically for the Irish, it's like having a neighbor who's really into clowns and also your grandfather was murdered by a clown. Beyond this, he writes, it's the stuff of children's stories. Having a queen as head of state is like having a pirate or a mermaid or an Ewok as head of state. What's the logic? Bees have queens, but the queen bee lays all the eggs in the hive. The Queen of the Britons has laid just 4 British eggs, and one of those is the sweatless creep Prince Andrew, so it's hardly deserving of applause. That's all.
Keep going. No, keep going.
There's more?
Keep a little more. I'll just keep going. It's just so wonderful.
The contemporary royals have no real power. They serve entirely to enshrine classism in the British non-constitution. They live in high luxury and low autonomy, cosplaying as their ancestors.
Isn't that great? I love that one.
Cosplaying.
Man, that's strong.
As their ancestors.
Isn't that beautiful?
And are the subject of constant psychosocial projection from people mourning the loss of empire. They're basically a Rorschach test that the tabloids hold up in order to gauge what level of historic battery their readers are capable of at any moment in time. The most recent internecine struggle is between the royal family and the newly disentangled Prince Harry and his wife, the former actor Meghan Markle. Traditionally, us peasants would be nervously picking a side and retrieving our pikes from the thatch.
That's great, too. It's beautiful.
And he does a callback later to the pikes. Luckily, these days, the pitch battles happen in television interviews, and he goes on. We're regular rich folk, Oprah, no different from you or Tom Hanks or Jeff Bezos, the couple says. We cut sporadically to the couple's own property where Oprah and the pair wander in hoodies, jeans, and anoraks among rescue dogs and chickens, as if to say, we're just regular rich folk, Oprah, no different from you or Tom Hanks or Jeff Bezos. Arch royalists will, of course, claim those dogs and chickens are crisis actors. Oprah makes it clear from the start that the questions have not been vetted, although she reveals her cards when they start discussing the royal wedding. Oh, thanks for inviting me, by the way. Oprah describes their wedding as being akin to a fairy tale. Meghan says it was an out-of-body experience, and in fact, they had a small private ceremony a few days earlier. I didn't know that. Meghan admits she was a bit...
That was on the interview.
Yeah, she was a bit... I didn't watch the interview. I'm getting the best of it right now. Did you blindside the Queen? Asks Oprah, conjuring up an image of Harry sucker-punching her with a karate chop. I picture the wily nonagenarian counter-punching with the royal dagger between her teeth. Anyway, it goes on.
Did she bully staff? Well, no. Also, isn't bullying staff part of what being a royal has traditionally been about?
Yeah. The Irish have no love for the royal family, I take it. And I don't blame them.
No, right. For good reason.
That was so funny.
The potential union of two great houses, the Windsors and the Californian celebrity.
Did we mention the authors? We should.
Patrick Frayne. I did say his name, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Patrick Frayne.
Just brilliantly done.
R-E-Y-N. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. From the Irish Times. And I apologize for my bad Irish accent, but I had to read it like that. Let's take a break. Come back. More news. Changelog still to come. Matthew Ingram joining us, filling in for Stacy, who I don't know if she's really in the chat room or just somebody doing some Stacy cosplay. But Stacy.
Queen Stacy to you. Queen Stacy.
We miss you, Stacy. Come back soon. But we're glad to have Matthew here from the Columbia Journalism Review. And actually, it's a good time to have you. Although your former colleague at GigaOM. Is that a GigaOM T-shirt you're wearing?
Sure looks like
I
it.
wonder if Stacy has a GigaOM T-shirt. That's nice.
Thank you.
You're muted, Matthew.
Yeah, look at that. Anyway, Matthew.
Yeah, it's a GigaOM running shirt that we got.
Oh, nice.
I'm pretty good, but I'm no Stacy.
Well, you're both two of my faves. I miss GigaOM, and I miss Ohm for that matter too. Should we have Ohm on? I feel like we should.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll get Ohm on sometime.
I had a piece on the rundown last week.
His blog is great.
Was contemplating reality.
Yeah. His blog is a really nice combination of articles about technology and deep philosophical thinking, and watches and photography.
Yeah, quite a good photographer.
He's really good. I miss him, so we'll have him on soon. The Yoda of tech. Except he doesn't talk backwards. We also have Jeff Jarvis here from the famous Craig Newmark, etc. Graduate Journalism at the City University. And, of course, from Hands on Photography, Ant Pruitt.
The Ant Pruitt.
It's fun to have Trey on, wasn't it? Talk about a little bit about photography.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
So cool and so just zen.
He's very zen.
Yes.
He's very zen. He is zenner than zen. Our show today brought to you by the folks at IT Pro TV, old friends who do an amazing job. If you're looking to get into IT, you know this, Ant, you worked in IT. If you don't have any experience in IT, it's hard to talk your way into an IT job. The easiest way to get that first job is with the certifications. That's why the cert system exists. Certifications like CompTIA's A+ cert or Network Plus cert or Security Plus cert. Those show you have the baseline of knowledge that gets you in the door. And then once you're in IT, and we have so many people I know who watch the show or participate in the show who are IT professionals, it's part of the thing that makes the job great is that it's constantly changing. There's always new stuff, new versions of the programs, new things to learn. IT Pro TV is for both people who want to get into IT, but people also who want to brush up on their IT skills. And they have amazing trainers. Even a seasoned IT professional can respect because they are people working in the field. They're not hired for their good looks. Although they're good looking, they're not hired for their fun, entertaining demeanor. Although they're fun and entertaining, they're hired because of their knowledge. But combine the three and you got the best online IT training platform. They do it kind of like we do. They've 7 studios in their Gainesville facility. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., cranking out content. And the reason they do that is because everything's always changing. So their content is always kept fresh. But there's always at least 5,800 hours of fresh, engaging video training online on demand for you. So you can watch live, but you can watch on demand. IT Pro TV works on your laptop, on your Android or iOS device. They've got a Fire TV, a Roku, an Apple TV app. So you can watch it or listen to it wherever you are. IT Pro's business platform is awesome for anybody like us who want to support online IT training for their IT leaders and employees. It's part of the ACI learning portfolio of audit, cyber, and IT learning solutions for consumers and enterprises. You get courses on every topic. Malware detection, you got to stay up on that, right? Cryptography, pen testing, end user security awareness. How do you train your users not to get you in trouble? IT Pro TV is the only official video training partner for CompTIA. You know you're in the right place for getting the right certs. This month, Cisco month at IT Pro TV. 12 Cisco courses, CCNA, CCNP, CCT, Encore, SLED, and RC. I mean, they got them all. They're also hosting a live webinar tomorrow with Cisco award winner David Bomball. It's called Get Hands-On with Cisco. You can watch that March 11th, but even if you're not around for the live event, you can watch on demand thereafter at itpro.tv/webinars. You'll see a lot of great webinars there. And don't forget Don Pizzette's, he's one of the founders, great podcast, Technado, featuring industry guests, IT news recaps. That's free. Everybody can listen to get a deep dive into the IT realm. Also, IT Pro, I like to put this in because these guys are doing not only a great job for their customers, but for their community. Last year, they served 30-plus COVID-impacted educational institutions with free training. So, that's one of the things they can do. Isn't that great? That's one of the things they know how to do, and they helped them out. There's 225,000 members now at IT Pro TV, and I think we could take a little bit of credit for that. We've been sending people there since they started it in 2013. IT Pro TV, here's how we're going to get you involved. You've been thinking about it. I know you have. All you have to do is go to itpro.tv/twit. If you decide to sign up for any of their consumer subscriptions, don't forget to use the offer code TWIT30. That's TWIT30. You'll get 30% off, and not just for the first month or year, but for as long as you stay active, forever if you keep doing it. itpro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30 for 30% off the lifetime of your active subscription. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. There's so many stories. I don't know if we're going to get to all of them. Google has announced the Cloud Next conference will be coming up in October.
In real life or digital?
They haven't decided. They don't know yet. It's interesting because we were talking about this earlier today, rather, with Paul and Mary Jo on Windows Weekly. Microsoft it was leaked. Maybe it's not official, but leaked a slate of all their events. They're going to continue to be virtual at least through March of next year. And why not?
Why not? Well, meanwhile, Mobile World Congress says they're going to be in person.
They did that last year. Do you remember that? They did the same thing last year. And then at the last minute, they said, yeah, no.
Everybody bailed, too.
Yeah, nobody's going to go to Barcelona right now.
No. Barcelona doesn't want anybody right now.
I want Barcelona. I miss Barcelona, but
yeah, me too.
That's I think half the reason people went to Mobile World Congress is jamón ibérico. Yeah.
for Matthew and me, it's Perugia. We can't.
I know. Yeah. Are you going to get to do Perugia this year?
Not this year.
Don't know. Not this year.
Well, this year, no. They'd canceled, but it would be about now.
It's a big journalism conference in one of the most beautiful medieval towns of Italy.
And what's the dish there that I love and I learned to love there?
Cacio e pepe. Now, by the way, ever since you started talking about that, I had never heard of it till you mentioned it. Now I see recipes for everywhere. It's suddenly like the thing.
It's
the first time we went.
Effect.
The first time we went, I read and watched a bunch of Anthony Bourdain, and the first thing he said was to go out and find a tiny little trattoria somewhere in the neighborhood, far away from everywhere, and have some cacio e pepe.
Anthony Bourdain.
So we did that.
So smart. Such a good guy. By the way, another guy Trey Ratcliffe knew well.
Wow.
What?
Yes.
God damn it.
I know. Speaking of the wonderful, talented, brilliant, perspicacious, ubiquitous journalist, capital J journalist Taylor Lawrence, today in the New York Times, article about a new app which I immediately downloaded called Nunu. In the app, you as a contributor to a digital creator get to tell them what to do. You get to the creator.
But not sex, right?
No. Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It describes its product as creating a human stock market. I don't know if that's stock as in equities or stock as in cows. On the app, fans pay to vote in polls to control some of a creator's day-to-day decisions. A creator can use...
This is so dystopian. This is like Black Mirror. It's like...
It's the logical conclusion. A lot of TikTok stars are on it.
It's just like a circus. It's just like, going on the Midway.
It's worse.
A creator can use Nunu to post a poll asking which sweater they should wear today or who they should hang out with, where they should go. Fans purchase voting power on Nunu's platform to participate in the polls. With enough voting power, you spend enough money, you get to watch their favorite influencer live out their wishes. It's a real-life choose-your-own-adventure. So I opened Nunu. Don't zoom in too close on this.
What can iOS only?
You did do.
I started. Nunu is very much like TikTok, right? So you swipe up. Let me see. This is trending, and when I realized that a lot of what Nunu is people shaking their tuchuses, for money. It's pretty much what TikTok has turned into.
Underage
pretty
too.
much.
No. Oh no.
Yeah, no. It's I don't understand it. Here, maybe Cameron. Well, get voting power to unlock. See what Cameron's going to do. See, I haven't gotten any voting power, so I can't unlock what Lev Cameron's going to do next.
You do that with money, right?
Yeah, real money. Not even
Is it Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
No actual money.
Don't do it, Leo. I always try to get you
I'm
to
not
buy
going to do
things.
it.
Don't
No,
buy
not
cameras.
this one.
No, don't buy them. No.
I assume somewhere there's an app that's like that, but it's just for paying to watch people eat or something weird like that. Like,
it was called
there's a whole
Justin.tv. It's now
microeconomy.
Twitch. I think, really, honestly, you tell me,
Watch him sleep.
when you do a Twitch channel, I know Chad Johnson, OMG Chad told me this, as you're doing stuff, people in your chat room can contribute, can give you money. And for a lot of Twitch creators, that could be a lot of money.
Right. I do it on YouTube Live. They have what they call super chats. And basically, if they donate, their chat comment pushes up to the top and it gives me a little notification so I could see it. Right,
so it's not so different.
No, it's
Has
not.
anybody asked for anything weird?
Yeah. One of the weirdest things for me is this Wacom tablet. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those, touch things that you draw with.
People like this right here.
Really?
ASMR.
Oh, the ASMR.
It's
They like that because I use that while I'm doing my post-processing on certain
Ant Pruitt
photos.
ASMR. Just do it a little bit for us, Ant. We can make some money.
Fascinating.
We can sell it.
Just do it for us.
Just do some.
That's amazing.
Do a little ASMR.
Just a bit.
Does nothing for me.
Yes, listen. Get it.
I don't hear a damn thing.
Get it closer. Get it
Yeah, I don't
above
hear
the
it.
mic.
I don't hear it.
Ooh,
No.
No.
it's making me hot.
I'm going to stop now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, new Taylor Rower. See, this is why they mock her, because she writes about these trends. But you know what? That's because they're old, stupid old men.
And she didn't make it. She's just saying it's going on.
And it is going on, and it's part of this changing world. But the youngs understand that,
Right.
But Taylor also got. Go ahead, Matthew.
I was just going to say, everything new that I've ever found out about has been from a Taylor Lawrence story.
Oh, I agree.
Like all the hype houses and, and all of that
I follow
stuff.
her she's brilliant.
Yeah, she covers that stuff like nobody.
She also suffered from male abuse on Clubhouse and after outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm over
and
Clubhouse.
a lot of that was pushed by some pretty prominent people.
Yeah.
Because she created a burner account to get into rooms that Mark Andreessen had blocked journalists from.
She was doing journalism, right? That's called doing journalism.
Yeah.
I mean, is there an ethical consideration there? Pretending
there is a bit of one, yeah.
You should, if you're going to cover something, you should always go in as a
journalist
with a fedora with it says press in it.
So people do undercover journalism, but you have to be justified by by what you're reporting on.
Yeah.
So if it's child trafficking, then most people will say, okay, sure, go undercover.
Yeah.
Or proving that Chicago, there was a great case where the Chicago Sun-Times bought a bar just so that they could get hit up for bribery by the police and the city. Right.
Wow.
So they didn't have a sign outside saying Sun-Times bar, bribe us here, because otherwise they couldn't have gotten the story. And it was a great story.
Yeah.
One of the classics.
Another bit from this Taylor Lawrence piece. It's in the style section. So, okay. There's a potential to earn a huge amount of money, said Joshua Wanders, 30, a YouTube creator with more than 8.7 million subscribers. He said it's pretty much 100% profit driven by mania. This week, Mr. Wanders, I love how the Times gives you the the honorary. Mr. Wanders.
Mr. Loaf.
Mr. Wanders and 4 other creators will release photos of their feet as NFTs.
You're right. And so is it anything that you wrote about there any dumber than NFTs?
No.
No.
The creators will upload their feet photos onto an auction site and live stream the bidding. The live stream will also be monetized. You have to pay to get in.
The Internet of Feet is a very powerful phenomenon.
I don't want to know about it.
Don't look into it.
Yeah, that explains a lot because I constantly see TikToks. I'm going to stop using TikTok because it's been taken over now by young women who want to show their assets. But there's constant TikTok, show us your toes, show us your toes. Is that why?
So, yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, many women who just post normal photos on Instagram and other old people, things like that. If there are feet in it, you will get bombarded with messages from...
Is it that what? I mean, I know about... I've heard of foot fetishes, but it must be this widespread, or is it...
I think maybe they're just more vocal. I don't know.
They're just something about TikTok.
Well, it's the great Clay Shirky story about the beginnings of Meetup. That after they kind of opened it up to any meetup, that the trending meetup was witches.
Yeah.
Because they had nowhere else to meet.
Yeah,
so
where are you going to go?
Found a place to meet.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
All right. Stacy's putting articles in here. Man, Stacy's in the chat room. She's putting articles in. She can't keep away.
You just can't.
Or maybe just John didn't give her the Zoom. Is that what it was, John?
No. She called in sick. But
that's a joke because I couldn't get in on the Zoom, folks. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. By the way, it's working. You look great.
Zoom's working.
Yeah, you do.
I think I tried to tell you to do Zoom a year ago.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure I was completely wrong. I think we're now looking at getting, because of Alex Lindsay on MacBreak Weekly yesterday saying, there's no better solution than Zoom. And he does this like you. He does this but he does it for a living. Well,
the audio is better in Zoom.
Is the audio better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've actually improved their audio. They've added new features.
I'm very worried that Skype is drifting off. You know, Microsoft's already said we're going to merge it into Teams. The last thing I want to do is use Teams for the show.
No.
OBS Ninja, which we had high hopes for because it's open source WebRTC, seems to have trouble with our network configuration. I'm going to talk to our network guy about that, Russell. But Zoom's doing all the things right and everything. So maybe everything's optimized for Zoom.
What's the other? There was a story in here where I said the origin story.
Blue Jeans.
Well, Blue Jeans. Facebook used to use it because they weren't allowed to use anything that was Google.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I remember Blue Jeans.
Yeah.
Blue Jeans
there was another sort of open source one too. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't know the name of it either. So Hopin just got around, and I forget what makes Hopin different. But interestingly,
hop into it.
The founders said that he was diagnosed with a serious health condition, prevented him from venturing outside my home. I was unable to meet people, attend events and conferences without the question. You're like, sound familiar? So he made Hopin.
So here's Stacy.
You know, that's how Clout started. Do you remember Clout?
Yeah. Oh, Clout was terrible.
Yeah.
That was with a K. Clout with a K. That was to somehow rate
measuring your social network.
Yeah, measuring your value on Twitter. Yeah.
I met the guy who started it, and he started it because he, I think, had jaw surgery or something. So his jaw was wired shut. And so he basically had to stay home and couldn't think of anything to do. So he created Clout.
No.
Let me drive people crazy. I'll make Clout.
So Stacy, here's the note. Stacy isn't going to be here, but wanted us to talk about this because wants y'all to talk about this because it's terrible.
Amazon.
Yeah. So there's a great tradition in this country going back to Ben Franklin. That the public library. It's a great institution where when a book is published, the library buys some copies so they can lend them out to customers. Used to be there was a library in every town. But of course, as we enter the digital world, times have changed. Libraries want to lend ebooks. And there are ways to do that. There are platforms to do that that limit the number of people who can borrow it at any one time. You still have to check it out. You get it for a limited amount of time. Just like borrowing a regular book, 2 weeks or whatever, and there's only a certain number of copies. The publishers seem okay with that, but guess who's not?
They weren't crazy about it, but they came to peace.
Publishers hate it.
Yeah, they hate it. That's a better way to put it.
There's no way libraries would be created now if you tried to create the library system now.
Which is too bad because it's a great public benefit, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it's part of the culture to decide what goes in the library.
So thousands of public libraries offer ebooks and audiobooks free, just like they would regular books. There are various platforms. One of the biggest is Libby app. And with the Libby app, you the first thing it says is, do you have a library card? And it then says, here's your closest library. Use my location, Libby. Allow location access. Here, Libby's found my library. Okay, good. There's my library. Sonoma County Petaluma Library. Yes, this is my library. And then I can use my library card to borrow books, except digital books, except if it's from Amazon. Because it turns out
publisher. Amazon is the publisher.
If Amazon's the publisher, yeah. Because in most cases it's Random House or Simon & Schuster or somebody else. But Amazon does publish.
That's one company now. But yes, it's all pretty much Random House now.
Yeah. Who publishes Dr. Seuss? Random House.
I think it's
no. That's
good question.
Oh well, we'll talk about that.
I thought it was his estate.
Oh, maybe.
Well, they own the rights, but I don't think that's the publisher.
Yeah. Anyway. Amazon has decided.
Penguin Random House. Yes, same one.
It's Random House.
Same place. Yeah, it's Random.
They fool you because they have these imprints. Penguin. You think Penguin's Penguin Books. God, I remember when I first went.
Simon & Schuster.
As a kid, I went to Europe and, we're in England. We can get Penguin books. They were the best paperbacks. Yeah. Remember Penguin paperbacks?
The name of the name of the company should be Random Penguin House. Would you not agree?
Yes. They're missing a good bet. Want to borrow that ebook from the library? This is in the Washington Post. Jeffrey Fowler. Sorry, Amazon won't let you. He starts by talking about Mindy Kaling's book. It's gone missing from the library. Her new story collection, Nothing Like I Imagined, isn't in there because she switched to Amazon as her publisher. Probably gets a bigger cut, right? Because she's going with Amazon. And it says it's not going to sell downloadable versions of its more than 10,000 ebooks or tens of thousands of audiobooks. I wonder if this includes Audible, which I bet it does, because Audible is a publisher of audiobooks as well, to libraries. They don't believe in libraries. And
apparently they've been talking
sad because people can also use the library to decide if they want to purchase a book, not just to borrow it.
Yeah, but the main reason you use the library is so you don't have to buy it, right?
Well, the main reason you use the library is so you don't have to buy it because you probably can't afford it.
But that's right.
Right.
But then there's some people that they love to read, but they've been burned a few times by buying a book that stunk out loud and, they get to borrow it and read a couple chapters and say, maybe I should get this.
Often the case that I'll buy an audio book from Audible or a Kindle book from Amazon and then end up buying a hardcover. But I can afford that. And so the whole point of a public library is to bring education to everybody, regardless of whether they can afford it.
Right.
Audible,
apparently,
by the way,
Amazon
has a great policy.
What's Audible's policy?
Return
a book.
I get a chapter in the book and say, I just hate this, and you can return it, no problem.
But you won't find Audible in the library because I just found out, reading Jeffrey's article, that it is also not going to the library. Amazon publishes books and audiobooks under its own brands, including, I didn't know this, Lake Union. Amazon loves doing this, making up these fake brands that have some snooty,
like Walmart does,
snooty name,
DBAs.
like Thomas and Mercer. That sounds like a nice English company, right? Some guy
in business since 1746, I think. Yes,
tweed suit. Mr. Mercer's passed, but I still run the company. No, it's Jeff Bezos. Cosplay, Audible. So those aren't going to go in there either.
So can I give you a contrast to this?
Yes.
So I talked to David Weinberger today just because we hadn't talked in too long. And I didn't know this. He edits a series at MIT called Strong Ideas. And here's the fascinating, and I was trying to think about whether to try to do something like this with my book. They sell print editions of the books in the bookstores, but they also are digital open access.
Oh, nice.
Available on the PubPub platform.
So you could print
there's
it.
Another book. This is to your point, Ant, and Leo. It's a sales pitch. There's a new book out called How Humans Judge Machines. So I looked and I said, wow, it's open access. I could download the entire PDF. I did. I read a few pages and I said, man, I got to mark this up.
Yep.
I bought the $30. I bought the hardcover.
Yep.
But,
Same thing with, speaking of Yochai Benkler, he did the same thing with MIT and his Wealth of Networks. And I did download it and I did buy it. So that's a good point. Yeah.
And he did it with network propaganda too.
Did he? Yeah. I think this is his. He's people like Cory Doctorow, Benkler are deep believers in this idea of open access. And Cory has always said, Cory publishes everything for free digitally. He's always said, I do just fine, thank you. People will buy my books. Even if I offer them for free, people will buy them.
I talked to the publisher at Macmillan, and Corey does drive them nuts because he wants the Corey way.
Yeah.
But he's so popular and so good,
he can do it.
Way.
Yeah,
he can do it.
And thank goodness there are authors. I mean, because there's a lot of authors who don't have that clout, who just have to go along. Thank goodness authors like Corey who have the clout and all the incentive in the world to not make it freely available, still do. So
I would love to do and I might try to do it if they'll take it. But that because an author wants two things, right? An author wants some money, but an author also wants to get ideas out there. Why do I blog?
Some would argue they want that second book as well. Mm-hmm. That second book deal.
There's a certain amount of faith. Wasn't it Paulo Coelho who published The Alchemist?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He may have been the first to really embrace this a long time ago.
Yeah.
I interviewed him about this for my book.
Oh.
And he got caught by his publisher. He pirated his own books.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, he uploaded
he created
them to
demand in some languages.
Yeah.
But it worked.
In Germany. Yeah, he did it in Germany in particular. And he said that someone said, but people will steal your books. And he said, most of those people weren't going to buy my books anyway. So.
Good point. That's always the point I've made about game piracy is those aren't people who are going to buy the game. So The Alchemist, initial print run was 900 copies through a small Brazilian publisher. And they decided, they didn't reprint it. That was it. So he had another book which did well. The Alchemist took off, but a lot of it because he gave it away, and he's a firm believer in that, and it really has made him a star, a celebrity, a novelist.
He has sold. You want to guess how many books he has sold? How many copies he's sold so far? 350 million.
Wow.
Paulo knows what he's doing. However, so I saw him pardon me for this, since I don't do it anymore, but you can make fun of me still at Davos. So Paulo and I were at the same dinner with Sergey Brin, and my publisher had sent over a box of What Would Google Do? So I was giving them away, and Paulo said, "Don't give them away, sell them. These people are rich." No, and he got mad at me for that.
The guy who's giving his own book away.
Exactly. He said, "No. When you do it for the reasons I do it, but when it comes to selling the hardcover books, you sell.
Take the rich. Take the rich."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's going on at Twitter? It really feels like Twitter is kind of reinventing itself. They've talked about super follows as a way to build revenue. Apparently, they're working on a big overhaul of TweetDeck and considering making it a paid service. That would, I have mixed feelings about that because I love Tweet. It's the only way I use Twitter is TweetDeck. But TweetDeck hasn't really been kept up to date for a long time. In fact,
this is all stuff they should have done 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Gross, I don't know if this is known or not. I don't think he'd object to me saying this. Bill Gross was an inch away from buying TweetDeck. Bill of Idea.
No, this is well known.
Loved Twitter, absolutely loved Twitter, and saw the potential and wanted to do things around it. And so he was an inch away from buying TweetDeck, and then Twitter came in and scooped in underneath him. And basically, the threat was no API for you.
Yep.
And so we lost it. And then Twitter just sat on it and didn't do anything with it.
Nilay Patel had a big article yesterday.
An ad network. That's why.
Yeah. Twitter didn't want them to do that. But they didn't want any of the third-party clients to succeed. They really wanted it all to be first-party. Big interview with Kayvon Bakpour, who is Twitter's head of consumer product. Nilay Patel yesterday on The Verge. Lots of information about what Twitter's planning. There's Twitter Spaces, which is basically their clubhouse. Fleets we know about. We've talked about that. They bought Review recently. We talked about that too, which is a Substack-style newsletter publisher. Super Follows, which will let people pay creators on Twitter for special content. I should try it with pictures of my feet.
Dude, no.
Please
no. Can
Please
I pay
no,
you
sir.
not
What if they
to do
paid
that?
not to do that?
I'll pay you not
Oh,
to do that.
that's a great idea.
Don't do that.
I start tweeting pictures of my feet and then say, if you don't want to see pictures of my feet, pay me.
Subscribe here.
That's brilliant.
Pay me not to say moral panic. Okay.
I'd pay you not to say moral panic. I would.
Stacey would pay more.
I think a lot of these things that Twitter's trying started with what's the name? Elliott Management, the hedge fund. I think they really put a fear into Jack
because they're one of those activist investors who really pressures.
Yeah. But they got into product ideas, or just no, you need to innovate.
You need to make money.
They basically said
you
guys
make some
need
cash.
Stuff.
Oh,
we don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Got it.
We need you to do some stuff.
Yeah,
make some money.
Yeah, you need to make some money. You need to get those daily active users up.
We don't care what it is.
We don't care how.
Just do something.
And you need some revenue.
Put that undo option in there. I saw that they're finally starting to test that out.
You getting it? Do you have it?
Undo in there. I don't have it yet. I just saw that.
They never let me use any of the new things. Yeah.
I did get pulled into Spaces. Is that what it's called? Did you?
Yeah, Spaces.
Their audio.
Yeah, I don't have that.
No, I got pulled into someone else's because I didn't really request it. I didn't care to. But it was pretty neat to hop in and just chat and share information with other folks and see other people popping in and joining and leaving feedback. It was pretty neat. But at the same time, I'm thinking about Clubhouse and all of the benefits there, but it's just closed off. If you don't have an iPhone, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't like that idea.
Me neither.
Anyway, worth reading the interview. It's long. It's not if there were anything like, oh, they're about to do this, I would say it, but it's not immediately clear what they're.
But they can create Spaces, they can create a new email newsletter, they can go to the moon, they can go to the Mars, but they can't give us an edit button.
Right. Undo, edit, something. I believe the only way you can get your tweet back is if you curse in it or something, right? If you put an expletive in your tweet.
Well, hell, then I can get rid of all mine.
Right. Well, I believe we tried it out on Twig not too long ago. Mr. Laporte said something pretty.
He said it's something bad to me, didn't he? Yeah,
pretty kind to you. I'll just say that.
And I couldn't take it back.
Wait, I missed.
So Twitter is testing
Didn't miss anything.
an undo option after sending tweets. But you can kill it.
But the way it works is with a progress bar, and I suspect that what they're really doing is not sending the tweet for a period of time.
It's the same as Gmail.
Just like Gmail.
Like Gmail
Because
does.
the same problem, Twitter has the same problem, is that as soon as it's published, that tweet goes out into a lot of different places. You can't take it back.
Right. You can't take it back. Which is why the edit is a problem, because it's RSS, basically.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Or you can slow down your Twitter by living in Russia.
Oh, yeah. They don't like what people are saying on Twitter, so they've slowed it down with the threat of closing it down. I think, is this about the Navalny protests?
Twitter didn't take down protest content, so they're slowing it down. Then they tried to slow down a bunch of other services. I saw I was using Google Translate on Twitter, and evidently the government, I think, accidentally kind of slowed down their own sites, so it didn't work so well.
Well, and we've mentioned, I think we mentioned, maybe not, mentioned on Sunday that India is threatening to arrest executives of Twitter and Facebook for allowing posts about the farm protests. India had required that these companies have in-country executives they could talk to if there were issues with the content, and that's how they're going to talk to them.
Well, India's new regulation says that they're going to all the platforms are going to have to take down things that are false or that threaten government unity.
Yeah.
On line 116, pages 4 and 5, you'll see a long list of things that they're going to require. And what do you do with the platform?
Yeah. According to Andrei Soldatov, Russia's slowing down of Twitter caused the outage of some government websites. It was meant to be a nationwide test of the sovereign RUNET infrastructure, partly a warning to global platforms and partly a soothing message to Putin, getting emotional, and it failed on all fronts. So I guess when you build a great firewall, sometimes it has consequences beyond the people you're targeting. It's like a Death Star. When you kill a planet, it all goes. There's nothing much you can do. Twitter is suing Texas, according to Fox Business. They allege that the Texas Attorney General is seeking to punish Twitter for taking Trump's account offline. Ken Paxton, the beloved Attorney General of Texas, announced he's being investigated himself for bribery. Announced is it bribery or corruption? I can never keep it straight. Announced an investigation at Twitter and 4 other major technology companies for what he called the, quote, seemingly coordinated deplatforming of the president. Yeah, it's coordinated.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Meanwhile, line 122, similar story. The governor is trying to get on the act now, so people forget about the fact that they couldn't drink any water.
He wants to ban social media, wants to ban Facebook and Twitter from banning. They're banned from banning. Big tech's efforts to censor conservative viewpoints is un-American, and we're not going to allow it in the Lone Star State, y'all, says Greg Abbott. It's not as bad as Modi's India.
But
it's a slippery slope.
It's at least we have a First Amendment that we can go to court on and say, no, you can't do that. No. Sorry, Matthew.
If you thought maybe the Biden administration would take it easy on big tech, we mentioned Tim Wu is going to the National Economic Council, but there's another appointment. This doesn't mention it. I should find that story.
Tim Wu, who wrote a journal article some years ago asking whether the First Amendment is obsolete. Just want to add that.
Yikes.
Just want to throw that in.
I didn't know that.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just he was just talking. He was just talking. Well, I think Wu says some good things. I like the kill switch and some the intention merchants, and in fact, I think we interviewed him for Triangulation, as I remember, on the intention merchants. But he also is widely quoted for wanting to break up Facebook.
A little bit of moral panic. I didn't say.
And now Lena Khan, who's another Columbia University scholar, is according to nominated to the Federal Trade Commission. She is also kind of known for her anti-big tech stance. Wu was in the Obama administration and says he regrets allowing the Facebook mergers, all the big tech mergers that the Obama antitrust, the FTC and so forth.
Well, like it was up to him.
Well, he was an advisor. He was an advisor at the time. He said, I regret it. I think we should have been harder on that. So it's going to be interesting to see if this
He's a pretty thoughtful guy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think more and more people on the Biden administration who are, on record as being kind of, let's break up big tech. They're too powerful. This is I think a signal.
So there's a hearing. I just sent to a representative a statement for. I got called for a hearing this Friday from Judiciary's antitrust subcommittee to see whether I would be a likely witness. Then I told them what I thought,
and they said no.
I think not. Given who's
maybe the Republicans will get you in there.
Well, no. I mean, I don't agree with them either. But I wrote a statement. I'll put it up online probably Friday when the hearing is.
So they actually said, "Well, what are your feelings on breaking up big tech?" And when you told them, they said, "Oh, we're not going to have you."
Well, no, it was a very nice, wonderful.
But they don't want somebody who's defending big tech up on this.
Well, I'm not defending big tech. I'm ridiculing stupid regulation.
Okay,
that's worse.
Yeah, because that's kind of ad hominem.
Because they want to, Australia. That sounds interesting.
No.
Let me tell you why it's not.
No. Let us play the drums. Bang the gong. It's time for the Google change.
Jason added some. Last time I looked, there was 3 things here.
Ooh, Jason's working hard.
Jason's working. Oh, it's
yes.
Keyboard steaming.
Yes. New things coming your way from the big Goog. Camera-based Google Fit heart and respiratory rate tracking, which we've talked about before, was announced last month, is now rolling out with version 2.51.19 of Google Fit. There'll be a new check your heart rate and track your respiratory rate. If you have a Pixel, I do somewhere. I shall have to check and see if my Google Fit is updated.
I'm checking my version now.
I should see because
I'm not on 2.51. I'm still on 2.50.
That'd be kind of cool if I could demo it. I'll turn it on and we'll see if we can get it working here. Google Voice is going to stop forwarding text. This is really a problem for me.
Using Google Voice must be torture because it's just bit by bit. They take off one finger this week and then they take off the one toe next week. So right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to affect me or not. This is a feature I used all the time, which would forward text messages to my linked numbers. This is the notice that you'll get on that setting in your Google Voice. Important message forwarding to linked numbers will stop soon because mobile carriers have started to block these messages. That's always been the problem with Google Voice is that phone number has never been treated like a real phone number.
All right. It's all look like spammy.
Well, or just like you try to use that Google Voice number as a for text updates and stuff, and people say, "Oh, you can't use that." So carriers, I don't think like that. They don't like the gateway or whatever. So SMS forwarding about to go away. Just a word of warning. Happy birthday, by the way. To Chromebooks, 10 years old.
Yay!
Yay!
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday
One person celebrates.
Happy birthday to the best inexpensive, wonderful laptop you can have without any problems. Happy birthday to us.
Is it a party if only one person goes, Ant?
Yeah. Hey.
No.
I like Chromebooks. Google is linking Android phones to Chromebooks with a new Phone Hub feature. This is a feature that Microsoft touted, the Your Phone feature on Windows. You'd think there'd be better integration between your Chrome OS and your.
Does that require a Microsoft phone?
No, isn't that funny? An Android phone. No, actually, the Your Phone works really nice on Windows with, say, a Samsung. Chrome OS is getting a bunch of features to celebrate its 10th anniversary. The biggest addition, according to The Verge, a new Phone Hub feature that connects an Android phone to a Chromebook allows Chrome OS users to respond to texts, check a phone's battery life, enable its Wi-Fi hotspot, and locate a device easily. This is not, I don't know, do you use your Pixel to log into your Chromebook? That's a nice feature. I use that, but this will go a step farther, which is kind of cool.
My Pixel isn't logged in all the time. I've complained about this on the show because Google Maps doesn't know this spot on Earth.
Oh,
so right. I have to every single time I use my phone in my own home, I have to.
You don't exist here.
Well, stop living in a bunker.
If you were me too, Ant, you might have to. It's enlightened self-interest, man.
Let me just see if I have an update for my my Google Fit. I have a lot of updates. Oh, there's so many updates. I haven't updated in a while, obviously. Aren't they supposed to happen automatically? Seems like sometimes I'll go in there and there's 50 updates. Well, I'll let those.
Maybe you turn that off.
Yeah, it's probably something you did.
No, yeah, probably. Huh?
I don't want Google to update me. No.
You'll find the Phone Hub in a taskbar widget that expands to show you recent Chrome tabs you've been browsing on your phone. That's nice. So some real nice. This is good. This is the kind of thing Apple does with the iPhone. Microsoft even does with Android phones. Now it's on Chrome OS. Chrome OS is also going to add nearby share between Chromebooks and other Android and Chrome OS devices, kind of like AirDrop for Chrome OS. It'll let people send and receive files between devices. This is going to arrive in the coming months. New screen capture tool will be in the quick settings menu on Chrome OS. It'll let you record your screen as well as take screenshots, and you can access them quickly in a space that is called tote. Like everybody knows what a tote is. T-O-T-E.
Is that where you tote your flocks?
Yeah. Tote. They couldn't call it something like, I don't know, screenshots. They call it tote. Okay.
I hear that word and I can hear my grandmother asking me to tote the groceries out.
Tote the groceries, Aunt. The clipboard is also being improved in Chrome OS. You can save 5 recent items to paste elsewhere without switching windows. The launcher key will provide access to this updated clipboard experience. Quick answers. Lets you right-click a word in Chrome OS to get a definition, translation, or unit conversion. Again, a feature Mac OS has had for years. The virtual desktop. Do you ever use your Chrome OS virtual desktops? I think that's a nice feature. It's called Desks. When you reboot a Chromebook, it will now restore all windows to their correct virtual desktops. So you can get it all set up, get it all looking good, and it'll remember it.
That's cool.
That's an improvement.
You can even right-click on the title bar and send a window to another work space. So that's cool. I have to play with that because I live on workspaces, both in Linux and on Macintosh. Like, well, here I could show you. I've got this is the article, this is the chat room, this is our ad. I've got multiple workspaces set up, and that makes it because I like to go full screen, so it makes it very easy. This is Linux, but Mac has something very similar. Windows does too.
Windows does
I do that too.
Yeah, I really like to work that way because I maybe the iPad's influenced me. I like full screen.
I used to do that, but I don't do it as much now. But it was nice to be able to separate, projects.
Yeah, exactly.
On different environments,
and really nice if it remembers that between boots, right?
Oh, yeah,
really nice. So that's going to be a good selling point for Chrome OS. Happy birthday, Chrome OS, 10 years old. I guess so. It was about 10 years ago, Jeff, we got our little black CR48.
Well, you got your CR48s. I wasn't there that year.
Oh, you weren't?
I was jealous. No,
Google I/O, they handed them out. Google Chrome is moving to a 4-week update cycle. They were on I think a 6-week update cycle. So major versions now are released every 6 weeks with smaller security updates every other week. This year, Google's going to move to a 4-week rotation. So, and I think that's probably a good idea. They say as we've improved
security.
Yeah, probably. As we've improved our testing and release processes for Chrome and deployed bi-weekly security updates to improve our patch gap, it became clear we could shorten our release cycle and deliver new features more quickly. So it isn't for security because you're getting those security updates bi-weekly. It's for features. It's feature updates. They've fixed the patch gap. That's the good news. Whatever you've heard, there is no patch gap. You might be interested in this, Ant. According to XDA developers, Google Photos is starting to roll out the advanced video editor.
I've been waiting. I keep checking for the update, and I still haven't gotten it.
It's in the March feature drop. I don't know if you have to be a Google One customer. You know that some of the features in Photos, you have to be a Google One customer.
Right. I am.
Yeah, I am too. No exact date because it's a staggered rollout, but expected to go wide this month.
It's just like waiting for your COVID shot,
Yeah. You have both of them now, Jeff?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he's good to go.
Good.
I got one.
You got one?
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. And you have an appointment for the other one?
One of the good ones.
You got one of the good ones? They're all good.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, if you avoid death, that's good.
Yeah.
No,
I'll take whatever you got that'll keep me from getting seriously ill or dying. That's good. That's a good start. Google Meet breakout rooms can now be set up before the call using your Google Calendar. That's all I have to say about that.
That's nice.
Yeah. Google TV Kids profiles arriving on the Chromecast this month with parental controls and time limits. So that's nice. If you have that new Chromecast with Google TV, a couple of nice features for parents. And finally, Android Auto, and I have it, although I can't use it because my Ford has some sort of incompatibility with Android Auto and causes a boot loop. Yeah, every time
Oh, boy. Really? Come on.
Ford says it's fixing it. There's going to be an update coming out soon. So I just use my iPhone. But it must be frustrating people who are Android, only people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's wireless CarPlay, which is awesome. You just get in the car and all of a sudden the big screen is CarPlay. And I can't wait. Android Auto, I think in some ways is better than CarPlay. And now they're going to add split screen support for widescreen displays.
You don't have widescreen. You have tall screen, right?
I have wide and tall. I'm big and tall.
Okay.
I don't know about the tall part.
Not compared. I'm not neither big nor tall compared to Mr. Pruitt, but I'm sorry. Should I call you Mr. Ant?
You can just call me Ant. So.
I love it that everybody you talk about, you say Miss Lisa or Mr. Jeff. That's a Southern thing, isn't it?
No, it's probably more like a Mother Pruitt thing.
It was beat into you as a
That's
youth.
right.
You're very polite. I love that. It's wonderful.
I try.
So I'm calling you
I have
Mr.
my
Ant.
moments.
Okay, Mr. Ant. Brand new split screen options starting to become available for Android Auto users out there, limited to those with large or wide in-car head units or dashboards. But if you've got the split screen, whatever your primary app is will take up a bigger left portion. Here's an example of the Android Auto display. So there's your music. And then I don't know how useful this is, but here's the little inset with the map in it. The smaller right-hand section will play host to your secondary application. So music and maps would be a good, and I would presume there's some way to swap those. So
Swap it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
It's kind of extreme. It's more like 70-30. 60-40 might be better because it's a little tiny little wedge on the right, and it's also
now it's just a little bar on the bottom.
Right.
But they probably had to do it 70-30 just because of the safety aspect of
maybe.
you driving and you
also screens aren't
give you a
that
little
big,
more real
right?
estate. Let's give you a little more real estate.
Other users have received the update are suggesting that split screen mode is forced when enabled, meaning you can't switch between UIs or switch apps from one side to the other. Oh, no matter what Android Auto head unit you have. So you once it's enabled, you don't have to enable it, but once it's enabled, you don't really have a lot of control over how it does that. And that, thank you, Jason, for filling that up, is the Google changelog. Oh, here's the hop-in. I found the hop-in. It was down under Other.
Yeah. Well, where else was I to put it?
I don't know. I guess
we don't have a hop-in section.
A hop-in section? Okay. I am going to let you guys pick from these because there's a whole bunch of these little stories. Apple Podcasts is going to... It both giveth and taketh away. It is, for most podcasts, the number one tool people use. For us, I think it's Pocket Cast, but Apple Podcasts is right up there. And it's always bugged me that the button says subscribe, because I think most people think subscribe means pay, like subscribe to a magazine. And I don't know if you remember, but for years I said, it's free, but press the subscribe button, things like that. I finally just gave up on that. It turns out from Edison Research...
Like you tried not to use the word podcast.
Yeah,
for years,
I fight these fights. They're stupid.
Netcasts from people you love.
Yeah, we dropped that one too. It wasn't wrong though. According to Edison Research, 47% of new podcast listeners think that when they press the subscribe button, they're going to be charged.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. So, good news. Apple is going to start using the word, I don't know if I like this, follow instead of subscribe.
It's a very
social
Twitter word.
Modern.
Yeah.
Follow kind of makes sense, except they're also changing the behavior. When you follow a podcast, it isn't automatically downloaded anymore.
Oh.
Because Apple has decided that most people are streaming, not downloading and listening later. So
I can see that.
There's some concern in the podcast world that could cause a drop in revenue, maybe even because, people might just stop listening, or I don't know. So anyway, that's going to be a big change. We'll see if that affects us. I would suspect, we always tell people to subscribe because then you've got it. Maybe you don't listen to it, but at least you downloaded it. If you have to press a button and stream it, I think that may impact listenership. We'll see. We shall see. Anything I missed that you want to talk about?
Oh.
Do you know about Internet Archive Scholar? Scholar.archive.org.
This is good for me. Yeah. When I'm actually
so Google has a Google Scholar. This is now from the Internet Archive. The full text search index of over 25 million research articles and other scholarly documents in the Internet Archive. So they have to already be there. The collection spans digitized copies from 18th century journals to the latest open access conference proceedings, and preprints that they crawl from the World Wide Web.
So before the show, I went in and searched, of course, for
Gutenberg.
Yeah.
Did you find anything interesting that you didn't know?
Yeah, I did.
How about
Multiple
Gutenberg and
languages.
Cicero? It's in German. Nouvelle du Gutenberg, from the Cahiers Gutenberg in French. The Gutenberg Variations, a rare journal of rare book manuscripts and cultural heritage. Roll Over Gutenberg, from Nature Magazine, 1999. And they're all here, which is nice. I mean, not only do you do the search, but you can actually read these, right?
Yes.
Farewell to Gutenberg, 2,000 sexually transmitted infections.
Well, there's another Gutenberg biological.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's a usage of Gutenberg.
Will Xerox kill Gutenberg, 1977.
Look at that, from G. Hardin, Science Magazine.
Wow.
Did it?
Not really.
No.
McLuhan thought it would. McLuhan thought that this was the
Imagine what McLuhan would have thought when he heard about digital copies of stuff.
Or NFTs.
Or NFTs.
He's the one person who would have understood NFTs.
Yeah. I guess
Mr. Jarvis.
this.
Sorry, go ahead.
This was from the AAAS. This was all about students Xeroxing
Yes.
books instead of buying the books in school. Yeah, yeah. We got a lot of our reading materials in college were Xeroxed even back then. Back in the day. I think
Mr. Jarvis put this in, that Stanford AI index on line 165.
Does that
Some of those
sounds like
takeaways
I
were
put it
pretty-
in there indeed, but I didn't read it.
It's pretty fascinating because it's looking at the effects of COVID from 2020 and some of the developments around. And if you just look at those takeaways, it makes you think.
Well, for instance, the greatest amount of private AI investment in 2020, $13.8 billion, 4.5 times higher than 2019, went into what? What do you think? Drugs, cancer, molecular, and drug discovery.
Good.
Actually,
Great.
I think you can credit AI a little bit, can't you, with the mRNA vaccines?
I think so.
I agree.
I think
agree.
AI
Did it
was
in the
used
weekend.
within a weekend they were able to genomically sequence COVID-19 and come up with a potential vaccine, which, as it turns out, is the one you just got stuck into your arm, Matt.
I think it's fascinating that the woman who proposed mRNA vaccines was ridiculed by her colleagues.
That's academia for you in a nutshell. Yep. Something new, we don't like it. You'll never make that work. All science only makes headway because you fight against the prevailing notion, right?
Right.
All progress depends on the unreasonable man.
And test and test and test.
You just
and
did
test
7
and
words.
research.
Put what I tried to say in a paragraph. Perfect. The industry shift continues. Again, the Stanford AI report. In 2019, 65% of graduating North American PhDs in AI went into industry, up from 44% 10 years earlier. Everybody's going into industry. This is something Stacy would love to talk about. She always talks about generative neural networks, right? AI systems can now compose text, audio, and images to a sufficiently high standard that humans have a hard time telling the difference. AI has a diversity challenge.
Especially
Imagine
Google.
that.
Yeah, what a surprise, especially Google. 45% of new U.S. resident AI PhD graduates are white, 2.4% African American, 3.2% Hispanic. We got to fix that.
Yep.
Not just
By
lip
the way,
service.
I was thinking the other day, is artificial intelligence just a really bad name?
Oh, it's a terrible name.
What would you name it instead?
Machine learning is
learning.
better. Yeah.
Machine learning is a
Better,
lot
but
better.
still not there. What is it really?
Machine learning is a little too rigid for the regular normal
Yes.
folks.
Well,
out
and
there
it
that
comes
don't
down to
wanna
how
talk
you
about computers.
what you define this as. See, because I am of the strong opinion that all people often think AI is just a computer program. Computer programs normal computer programs are deterministic. Some programmer said, if this happens, do that. If that happens, do that.
Yep.
And there's no, you can't think outside those lines. The whole point of AI is, thanks to machine learning, a computer can adapt itself by learning about the real world. No programmer writes it. In fact, often with AI, no programmer could read it. They have no idea how the computer decides this looks like cancer, this doesn't. That to me is true AI, and it starts with machine learning. I mean, to me, that's what distinguishes it from just pure old programs. I don't know. We need a better name. I agree with you. I don't know what it would be. The problem with AI, just like Tesla calling its adaptive cruise control autopilot, is it applies a lot more capability than actually exists.
I mean, a name, there couldn't have been a more innocent name imagined than Cookie.
Yeah.
But it became demonized, so it kind of doesn't matter.
The real name for cookies, and you'll see why they named it cookies, is persistent client-side state information, which PCSSI could have been pixies, which I think would have been better than cookies.
Might well have been.
Yeah.
But those little pixies are following me everywhere.
Yeah, right? Isn't that better than cookies? Pixies. Anyway, again, like netcasts. I'm just tilting against windmills here.
When I started Entertainment Weekly, I insisted to the staff they couldn't abbreviate it. They couldn't call it EW.
Oh, but they did, and it's great.
They did.
EW.
Yeah, I gave up.
Yeah.
It was EW. Yeah.
EW. It's great.
Dumb.
Finally, I'll wrap it up with this. Thanks to science, I think it's science, Arby's has an answer to all that plant-based meat you see at other fast food chains, a meat-based carrot.
Yes.
Arby's says we'll never have artificial meat. We only have meat. So they've unveiled a product, a carrot made from turkey. Would you like to watch it being made?
No, thank you.
They call it the merit.
I want to see how the sausage is made, Matthew.
We can make veggies from meat. Come on, Matthew. Meet the first ever vegetable, the merit. Looks just like a carrot, doesn't it? Take some turkey breast.
Arby's, you have won me over.
Salt and white pepper. This is a great TikTok.
This is the opposite of the Burger King thing.
Wrap it up in cheesecloth and plastic wrap. Tie a knot. Then dip it in the deep fat fryer. Now notice they tied it. I'm sorry, they're sous videing it.
Sous vide.
They made it a carrot shape. So it's sous vide. Now you're putting dried carrot juice powder all over it. So it's authentically.
That's cheating, I think.
Let it rest. And then oven roast it for 1 hour. What do you think it tastes like?
Turkey.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Oh, Jesus. That's bad. Oh, man.
So it's turkey.
That's what's up, Arby.
Tastes like chicken. I don't know if Arby's insists the merit is not a stunt. We're actively determining, this is the problem, whether or not we can scale it. They say it's about 50-50 that they can. So this is they're testing it in the test kitchens, and they hope someday to be able to offer. I would buy a merit. Wouldn't you go to Arby's just to get a merit?
I'd go after the show.
Yeah, right now. Chat room's giving Arby's, I'm sorry, it's Burke, giving Arby's B+ for effort. Very lukewarm grade. Very lukewarm grade. I like the idea of a meat-based plant.
If you could work in one fast food test kitchen, which chain would you want to work in? Mine.
Yes.
You know mine.
Popeyes. No, Chipotle.
No, for sure.
Taco Bell.
No.
Taco Bell.
I thought you'd given up on Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Might.
Yeah, he likes Taco. I know, Matthew. He likes Taco
I don't even want to go in there.
No, I don't blame you.
It would have to be Chipotle, even though I don't eat there.
Really?
But it seems like they would have a better
do
run
decent
of
things.
I think Jack in the
food.
Box, because of all the fast food chains, they have the most menu items and the weirdest menu items.
Right.
They're always trying something bizarre and weird. I mean, they have a new product every month, it seems like. So
Yeah.
I was
pretty
thinking
much.
Five Guys, maybe.
Five Guys, but they don't see that it's always there's nothing. It's
what it
burgers
is.
and fries. What are you going to test? Merits?
But still, what do you mean? It's burgers and fries.
What's wrong with that?
How can you go wrong?
Meat and taters, baby.
Best summer I ever spent in college. was working in the Yale University test kitchen. They bring in a fancy chef, he was a Frenchman, to create and test recipes for the dining halls for the upcoming school year. And I was the pot scrubber, but he was great. He was very frank. I said, Leo. This was the only thing I remember. He gave me his wisdom. Leo, an onion is like a woman.
Okay.
You peel it from the bottom up.
Oh, boy. Okay.
If Stacy were here right now,
She'd be punching me.
she'd be hitting.
We're going to
us.
need a note in the show notes.
I didn't say it. This French guy
What was
said
that?
it.
Picks
He
of
was
the
a
week?
chef.
What was that?
But it was fun because he would make all these things. First of all, there's more considerations than just flavor. It has to be makeable. You don't have to create a recipe that can be made in mass for a bunch of people by people who are not particularly brilliant chefs. So it was so much fun because he would cook all morning and lay out 20 dishes. And I'd be scrubbing the pots as he's cooking because, he's cooking like up a storm. And then we'd all stop and we'd taste, eat each of them. So I have worked in a test kitchen, I guess. It was my best summer ever. I loved it.
Pretty cool.
And I learned how to peel an onion. T-Mobile is stepping up ad targeting of cell phone customers. Of course, they completed their merger with Sprint, so you'll all be affected by this. They are... it's opt-out, but of course nobody will know to do that. They're going to share customers' web and mobile app data with advertisers starting April 26th. So just a word of warning if you're a T-Mobile customer.
This needs to be said a couple times, quite frankly. Because, again, it's opt-out and nobody's going to know. So hopefully this is going to be said a few times up until April to get the word out.
T-Mobile says... We've heard many of our customers say they prefer more relevant ads, so we're defaulting to this setting. T-Mobile, because of their merger with Sprint, has 60 million users under its main brand, 20 million more under prepaid plans. The change will not apply to business accounts or children's lines, but... AT&T automatically enrolls wireless subscribers in a basic ad program that pools them into groups based on inferred interests, kind of like FLoC. Verizon pools subscribe. Of course, Verizon, remember, had that super cookie for years and never told anybody. Yeah. Likewise, pools subscriber data before sharing inferences about them with advertisers. So Verizon knows what you're doing. But they don't share it with advertisers. But a more detailed sharing program called Verizon Selects for users who enroll, it's a separate Verizon media. They also collect data from Yahoo and AOL, which they also own. T-Mobile says it will mask your identity to prevent advertisers and other companies from knowing what websites they visit or apps they've installed. This is very much like the Verizon Super Cookie. You get a special device ID just for you. Privacy groups note those IDs can be linked back to people by comparing different data sets. So, yeah, just be aware of this. This is big bucks. It's not really that new. In the T-Mobile app, if you have a T-Mobile account, you could visit the T-Mobile app, visit the More tab, Advertising and Analytics. Turn the toggle off to stop using my data to make ads more relevant to me. I wonder what Apple's going to do on the iPhone with this. They'll probably force T-Mobile to disclose, I would think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hope so.
All right. I'm going to take one more break. Then, if you will, prepare your picks of the week. Jason, do we know if Stacy will be back next week? I hope so. Stacy, we miss you. I hope so. I hope so. Our show today brought to you by Linode. I'm a Linux guy. I'm using Linux right now. I've been a Linode user for probably a decade, a long, long time. I first became aware of Linode because they were offering Linux servers running on SSDs back when that was pretty darn exotic. So cool, so fast. Linode believes in cloud computing for all. Whether you're a big company or a little guy like me or a developer in between, 800,000 developers choose Linode. And there are a lot of reasons. By the way, my reason is best customer service in the world. These guys are geeks. Guys and gals are geeks. when you talk to them, they will handle your problem. They don't tear you up. They don't say, oh, I'll get a supervisor. They don't hand you off. Doesn't matter if you're a little guy like me or a big enterprise, you're going to get great customer support from people who really know their stuff 24/7, 365 days a year. Linode also is big, in fact, bigger than they were when I first started using them. Now they have data centers all over the world. And they don't charge you more depending on location. It's the same simple, consistent pricing at every data center. Choose the one nearest you. You're going to get the best price. They've got a great intuitive cloud manager, one of the best APIs I've ever seen. You can do anything with Linode. Host your website. I do it because I like to do a web-based coding. So it's a lot easier for me to spin up a server on Linode, try out React or Node.js or whatever, and then shut it down when I'm done. It's cheap, it's easy, it's fast. But you can also do it to store or back up media. You could, the sky's the limit. Easily launch and enrich your developer applications, hosted services, websites, AI. They've got great machine learning hardware, gaming services, your CI/CD environments. You can build on Linode, and those SSDs, yes, they are fast. Launch and scale in the cloud with their virtual machines. You could choose shared instances for affordability or dedicated instances for speed and performance. You could get S3 compatible object storage, managed Kubernetes, whatever you want. Linode's great. And they have a fantastic YouTube channel where you can watch video tutorials, security tips. It's absolutely free. YouTube.com/Linode. I know a lot of people use those videos just to learn. Bryce Adams from Meteoric, one of their happy customers, says, quote, "From the start, we were looking for a partner, not a provider. Some of the large providers see us only as a transaction. Linode is the kind of partner that will be with us from the start, today, and beyond." Multiple Stevie Award wins. That's their sales and customer service awards. Linode's customer service, I'm not surprised, awarded for excellence for 3 years in a row now. Thanks. Congratulations, Linode. That's awesome. Simplify your infrastructure, cut your cloud bills in half with Linode's Linux virtual machines. Whether you're developing a personal project or managing larger workloads, you deserve simple, affordable, accessible cloud computing solutions with the best darn customer service ever. And we have such a good deal for you. I always love it. I talk to these guys and I say, well, what can you offer our audience? And when they told me this, I went, okay, $100 free credit. Okay. Just because you're listening to Twig, you can find all the details at Linode, Linode, linode.com/Twig. Or if you're not at your desktop, just text TWIT to 474747 to get your free credit. $100? What? I was so happy when I heard that. Because I tell you, it's very affordable. $100 could go a long, long way on Linode. Linode.com/Twig. Click on the Create Free Account button to get started. If it runs on Linux, it runs in Linode. I use it for your Git server. I could just think of a million different things you could do. Linode, linode.com/Twig. It's a good thing to have in your back pocket. Set up the account, get the credit. You will find many, many ways to use it. Thank you, Linode, for supporting This Week in Google. Thank you for doing it by going to linode.com/TWIG. I saw this. I'm so glad. Matthew Ingram, your pick of the week. Are you muted? Hello, Matthew?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, good. Tell me what your pick of the week is. I saw this and I loved it.
So I actually have two. I added a second one that someone mentioned in the chat room, which you can play or not. But it's the 4-year anniversary to the day of that famous BBC interview where the guy's kids come wandering into
Today's the day?
4 years?
Let's watch it again. The best interview of 2017. He's on the BBC. He's an expert in, what is it, the Middle East or something.
China,
his kid,
I think. Yeah.
China, that's what it was. It was Asia, yeah. His kid comes prancing in. He shoves him away. Then the little kid comes in the roller. But the best part is this. Mom comes sliding in, grabs the kids. She must have been watching. Goes, oh my God!
Every time.
And the best part is the books. Look at them on the right. They're piled on the bed to make it look like a desk.
Yeah, he's in the bedroom. We know. It's okay. You know, it's funny. In 2017, this was remarkable. This was weird. This was like, wow, this guy's at home in the bedroom. Now it's like everybody.
That's what everybody does.
We have animals invading the shows. We have children invading the show. It's just normal now. It all began.
Where are they now with the daughter?
She's 4 years older, right? Look at her.
Yeah, there's a picture of her playing, I think, the cello or something like that.
Aww.
Yeah.
March 10th, 2017, a day that will live in infamy.
Epic. So I have another one.
Yes.
Which you maybe were talking about.
That's the one I was talking about because I saw this on TikTok this morning. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Guy built a video store, old-fashioned video rental store in his basement. It's amazing.
In his basement. And it looks just like a real rental store.
That is awesome.
It goes on and on too. It's not just. I thought it was just
Does it
a little
have a porn
jokey
section behind the
probably behind the curtain, a little porn section.
The beaded curtains.
There's an ET doll. You know, the video stores always had those gimmies.
Instead of refinishing
the posters.
cabinets, he decided to build a video rental store.
He owned all of these.
It's wild. I guess so.
Respect.
Look, it goes on. There's a second room.
There's another room over there.
Does he have a sign telling him to be kind and rewind?
Some candy bars.
The candy counter. Do you remember doing that? Going to the video store,
Weekend at Bernie's,
picking the
posters,
video for that
classic.
night, picking up some.
I remember I'm old enough to remember the mom and pop video stores, right?
Oh yeah,
me too.
Before Blockbuster. Actually, the last video store in Petaluma just closed. It was a mom and pop store.
Wow.
Wild.
Oh, he's got a little viewing room. It's not the first thing I would have thought of doing in my basement.
No.
It's pretty much the last thing I would have thought of doing in my basement.
But he really went at it. Like he didn't just half-ass it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I mean, you can smell the carpet.
Fully asked.
You know,
Fully asked.
you know exactly what that carpet smells like. You're there. It's wood paneling and everything. You know
Oh yeah.
that smell right there.
Well, that's a hoarder. Well, it's a hoarder with order.
Respect.
A hoarder with order is very important because a hoarder without order is just a hoarder. A hoarder with order is just a nut. Jeff, you're a number of the week.
So this is maybe a little inside baseball. Matthew, you remember the journalism startup Civil?
Oh, very well. Yes.
Yes. So it was and we talked about it on the show. It was a blockchain-based thing. It never made any sense. Nobody could figure it out or understand it, just like NFTs. So when you started off today with Trey, before we were on the air, he mentioned MetaMask. And I said, that's it. That's where my money is. I couldn't remember the name MetaMask. I couldn't remember that. So before the show goes on, I thought, can I do this? And I found my MetaMask. I found my code. And I had $500 that I had put into Civil because I'm such a nice guy. I'm a schmuck. But it sat there this last 2 years because I didn't know how to get to the money. That $500 is now worth $4,656.
What?
Ooh.
I'm the only person who made money on Civil.
That's
I have
awesome.
an almost identical story, believe it or not. So I bought Ethereum, or I actually had, believe it or not, some Bitcoin that I bought years ago when it first started, and I changed it into Ethereum so that I could invest in Civil.
Right.
Because I thought it was worth, I wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
So then I completely forgot about it. And then it wasn't until Bitcoin started going through the roof, I was like, I should go look at that. I went to Coinbase and they said, oh, would you like to look at your wallet? And I was like, I have a wallet? And sure enough, there was like $3,000 in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what? Civil went out of business in June. What was Civil? What was the point of it? Civil.
You don't have 2 hours for that.
So I'll give you I wrote a long feature about it at CGR if you want to read it. You can or not.
They were trying to.
Gone.
The idea was they were going to use Ethereum as a payment system for journalists. So think about Substack if it was based on the blockchain. So they started a whole bunch or funded a bunch of newsrooms, independent newsrooms.
Oh, wow.
And they were going to publish their articles using the blockchain, and they were going to take payments in Ethereum or in something called Civil that was a coin based on Ethereum. And then the company that backed them basically started tanking because Ethereum started tanking and the whole thing went down in flames.
It's kind of interesting because for a long time we thought micropayments would be the solution to journalism.
No,
well, that was the idea.
I didn't. I never did.
You always thought it was a bad idea. I mean, the problem was we didn't have a way to do it. I mean, PayPal would take a big chunk of any transaction. They didn't allow small transactions. So micropayments could never have made it. But once blockchain-based cryptocurrencies existed, suddenly you could do
benefits.
1,000
there were other benefits.
Bitcoin to somebody. Yeah.
I actually don't think it was a terrible idea. The one thing Maria Bastillos, who was part of one of the early newsrooms, talked to me about why she wanted to publish using a blockchain, and it was so that articles could not be deleted by the police or by the courts or by
it's distributed to everybody. That's brilliant.
Everyone has,
that was the idea,
which is actually a really interesting idea. It just didn't
I love that.
It was just so complex. It was like NFTs. Nobody could understand it.
It's too complicated.
I sat in meeting. It was way complicated, and having to buy the thing I went through trying to buy the things. But the funny thing was part of their business model was that basically the crypto currencies would increase in value and it would benefit everybody.
Yeah. Well, it did.
Sure enough.
Yeah,
they're right. Sure enough, it did.
What they really needed is to do the transaction themselves. Like you just come there with a $5 and you now have an account with a certain amount of civil coin in it. That didn't work that way though, or did it?
Was too complicated at that time.
It's more complicated.
Yeah. Plus, they had to do the whole, because it was considered an investment kind of. You had to do this whole thing where you took a quiz. Remember that, Matthew?
Yeah.
You had to take a quiz. You had to study a thing and take a quiz.
Oh, yeah, because you had to be an expert investor. Yeah.
They did that for a good reason. They didn't want people to speculate in civil coins. They wanted people who actually wanted to fund journalism.
It was also the law.
So they wanted to basically keep the speculators
until the Jobs Act. You had to actually be an expert, otherwise you couldn't invest. That was to protect.
So meanwhile, one other quick number to mention real fast was that when the pandemic started. Now that we're at our panniversaries, the joke was, of course, there's going to be a baby boom, right? The opposite.
Yeah.
FT has numbers that in France, births are down 13%. In
really?
It's down all across Europe.
Wow.
I think people said, "Oh man, I'm already stuck in this house with a kid for a year. I can't just imagine having another
kid." No.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Ant, what's your pick of the week?
Got a couple. Make them quick though. First, Adobe Max announced its dates for 2021, and yes, it is virtual, and yes, it is free for anyone. Just create an Adobe ID, and you're good to go. And that's on October 26th through the 28th. And today, Adobe pushed out a bunch of updates for like Photoshop and Photoshop on iPad, and one in particular for Adobe Camera Raw that I'm looking forward to trying out is their super resolution feature. Right now, if you're inside of Photoshop, you can scale up your images. It uses a bit of AI to make a smaller image larger, but you still have decent quality with it. And I thought it's pretty good. This is supposed to be exponentially better. And that's rolling out today. Yep, today. So something to check out if you're in the Adobe sphere. Lastly, this was something that it pissed me off. I saw this last weekend. It pissed me off.
You're allowed, although I can't imagine what a pissed off Aunt Pruitt would be. But.
Yeah, this is
but there's a bit of a personal story with this, and I do have permission to share this personal story. So last weekend, there's a hotel called Montage. It's a pretty expensive, high-end hotel chain.
I saw your post on this. Yeah.
And some people were there checking in, and they wanted to have some drinks and just chill out or whatnot. And the manager told them they need to go sit outside because of supposed COVID regulations and whatnot. Well, these were black people that this manager told.
By the way, all wearing masks.
All wearing masks. Yet within the same room, there were some white folks sitting right there just doing their thing. Exactly like they were doing.
No
they
masks.
were not told to leave.
No masks.
And it really did piss me off because we talked to Dr. Narit last week, and she went through the PR playbook and how these companies are sending out this message when this happens and that happens. You say this or what have you. And of course, that's exactly what these montage people did is they sent out a blast. Hey, we apologize and we don't believe in this.
Oh my God. Here's the
Yada,
manager
yada.
taking a picture of them shooting the video of him throwing them out. Appalling. And there are plenty of white people in this lobby walking around, eating, drinking,
right there behind
no
him,
masks. No masks. He's not throwing them out.
Bull crap.
He totally got busted.
So that pissed me off because that stuff right there is still happening today. And there's not much going on the news standpoint as far as that hotel stepping up and making
Where
things
was the
right.
hotel?
This is in Laguna Beach down in Southern California.
Montage.
There's
Remember the name.
nothing going on about this being published to be fixed and corrected or any type of action. Sorry, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
You should be pissed off.
We
It
have,
should piss you off. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
but yet I heard for about 10 days about Lady Gaga's dog that was stolen or whatever. Didn't hear anything about Lady Gaga's handler that was, trying to take care of the dog in her absence that got shot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is wrong with society? But the personal thing on this, that hotel chain. Now, here in the Pruitt household, I'm the only one working. Okay. Queen Pruitt has been trying to get work, and she's been able to get a little part-time stuff here and there because she does nails. She's an amazing nail tech.
She's done my nails, and I'll vouch for it.
Right. And so she's
not a good time to be
stuff.
a nail person, I might add. It's a little tough
so
right
she's
now.
been able to get stuff here and there, but it's not full-time work because of the pandemic and stuff. She recently had an interview, got a job, and accepted, and went to training and all of this good stuff. Went through the corporate ethics training and all of the things HR make you do. But she left. She just wasn't feeling it. And the name of that place was the Montage Hotel.
Oh, same thing. Same
Her
thing.
6th Sense was right.
Oh, my. No wonder you're pissed off. Wow.
And this was about 10 days ago when she was like, I'm just not feeling this place. Because they have they just opened a new one here in Northern California.
Oh, good. I cannot stay there. That's exciting.
There you go.
Another
So
place I cannot stay. That's great. Is it here up in Santa Rosa? Where is the Montage?
No, it's up above. What's that? Hellsburg?
Oh, St. Helena. Healdsburg. Hellsburg is a good name for it, though. Healdsburg. Healdsburg. Yeah.
But it's out there in the middle of all of the vineyards.
It's just north of Patemula.
Area.
Yeah.
And it's, she had to sign all of these forms about NDAs
sucks.
because celebrities
I won't be staying
and
there.
stuff.
Yeah,
and yada, yada. And she's
blah,
like,
blah.
I'm just not feeling it. And of course, I'm like, man, I need you working, baby, but you're not feeling it. Okay, I get it. And then
now we know.
This popped up.
Yeah. Yeah,
He was right. Never question the Queen.
No, the Queen has a 6th
That's-
sense. She knew.
That's what Prince Charles has learned, and that's what you do. Never question the Queen.
I don't blame you for
Noted.
being pissed off. That's messed up.
But I wanted to share that, and she gave me permission to share that because I think stuff like this has to continue to be brought to light.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
this is everyday stuff going on, y'all.
You're here to keep us honest, Ant. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Ant. My pick of the week is for anybody who wants to watch YouTube without the suggestion feeds, without the comments, without all the things that make YouTube a nightmare. Just unhook YouTube. It's a Chrome, Firefox, or Edge extension. I've got it installed right now on my Firefox. It's got a little play button, and you can see all of the things you can turn off. Screen video wall, screen cards, hide comments, hide mixed radio lists, hide merch, tickets, offers, hide video info, hide top header, hide lefts. I give you permission to turn all of that stuff off on our feed. Disable autoplay, disable annotation. If you don't like it, you can turn it off. I'm not sure how they're doing it. Probably CSS, right? I don't know. But it's free. You're invited to donate if you want to support his work. Unhook at unhook.app. It's kind of like an ad block, but it's a little more specific to YouTube.
There's one of those for Facebook too. I installed it.
Oh, good.
It's an extension, and you can turn off almost everything. It's fascinating.
That's good. I did that too, but I just disabled my Facebook account. That was.
Can you turn off birthdays?
I hate birthdays. You know what?
I hate birthdays.
And I hate it when it's my birthday because I get all these things and then I have to respond to them. And I don't care because I'm old and I don't want to celebrate it.
Exactly. When Mark Zuckerberg turns 65, he's going to say,
he'll understand. He'll know.
I don't regret anything else that I did, but this birthday thing was the worst thing I could have done.
It's become a thing. I don't know if this happens with you guys, but there are now people who want to be the first. So they actually wish you a happy birthday before, like the night before.
That's irritating as hell.
Yeah.
At least they let you do donations to a charitable cause, which I think is nice. You know, at least you could do that, but still.
Leo,
John,
there should be a bonus pick.
There's a bonus pick. John Slaninas
in the random in FLoC
is passing
from Anthony.
Passing along a bonus pick. This comes from somebody named Anthony. Okay, so he's using the MyHeritage app. Oh my God, I'm gonna. This is actually Wombo.ai, so it's not MyHeritage. It's like MyHeritage. This is from the album art or a picture of me. And we end the show with this great meme. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on This Week in Google. We do the show every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. It'll now be 2100 UTC because, of course, we're going back. We're going forward an hour on Sunday. Thank you, Matthew Ingram, CJR.org, Columbia Journalism Review. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis. Thank you. No, let's do some more Maya He.
That's okay. Yeah.
No, come on, more Maya He. Oh, full screen. It's even creepier. Thank you, Aunt Pruitt. Hands-on photography. What's coming up on hands-on photography?
Oh, we're still talking lenses this week, but we're going to get really, really nerdy and down into the nitty-gritty of those lenses with a special guest.
Oh, a very special guest. Yeah, it's going to be good. By the way, I'm making this an NFT. If anybody wants to send me Ethereum, I'll be glad to sell you the one and only copy. Yeah, I'm taking bids right now. And until I get a good bid, I'm going to keep playing it.
Your singing voice is higher than I expected.
I sing quite well, don't I? I wonder what the fox says. We could do that next. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Leo.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you are interested in checking out all things smart home and Internet of Things, then you should check out Smart Tech Today, the podcast I, Micah Sargent, do with my co-host Matthew Casanelli. It's all about the smart home and improving your automations.